Welcome, everybody, to the November 18th, 2025 meeting of the Tompkins County Legislature. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we get a roll call of the members, please?
Very covert.
Ann Corman.
I cannot wait.
Mike Lane.
Here.
Greg Mezzi.
Here.
Dan Nolan.
Here.
Veronica Pillar.
Here.
Lee Shirtliff. Mike Sigler.
Here.
Shauna Black.
Here.
Travis Brooks.
Here.
Randy Brown.
Here.
Amanda Champion.
Here.
Deborah Dawson.
Here.
Rich John.
Here.
Dan Klein.
Here.
Ann Corman.
Here.
Lee Shirtliff.
13 members present. We have a quorum. We do not have any proclamations tonight. We do not have any executive sessions tonight. Hold your applause till the end, just in case. I'm not aware of any reordering of business. Is there anybody that wants to request anything? Mike?
Simply that I think there are folks here about the budget, so we might want to think about when we want to move that.
Okay, where would you like to move it up to?
Well, I would think at the beginning of the reports from the legislature committees.
Okay, we can do that. Thank you. All right.
Dan,
Yes.
could you move Resolution E out of Housing and Economic Development and into Budget Capital and the Personnel Committee?
Yes.
It did not pass out of HED.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, we are up to privilege of the floor for the public. If you're interested in speaking tonight, please pick up one of these blue forms in the back of the room, fill it out, bring it right up to us. We'll put you in the line, and you can get a chance to speak when your name comes up. If you're going to speak tonight, you're agreeing to some rules, and I would like to read the rules first. 1, I agree to a 3-minute time limit. 2, I agree not to raise my voice. I agree not to use lewd, obscene, profane, slanderous, or libelous language, or speak or act in a manner that would tend to incite a breach of the peace. I agree not to speak about county personnel matters. Personnel matters include comments about the job performance of named county employees other than elected officials. After 3 minutes, I agree to leave the microphone and yield the floor. Transferring time to another person is not permitted. I agree to be courteous and not make comments, gestures, outbursts, or other disruptions while other members of the public or legislators are speaking. I agree that if I cause a disruption and am asked to leave, I will leave the chambers. I also just want to mention before we start, we had some technical trouble with the doors tonight, so right now they're propped open. Just in case there was any question about that, we weren't locking people out. It's an automated system that failed somewhere, and so we're working on it. Okay, thank you. First up, Zach Wynn.
Good evening. I'm here to ask you all to vote no to authorizing a public hearing on adding the Chief Diversity and Equity Officer position to the county charter. There was an extensive discussion of this issue in committee, and some of the things that were discussed that stood out to me are the questions of essentially, what is the material benefit this role provides to the taxpayer? What do they do all day? Has diversity meaningfully increased since the position was created? It is my understanding that the salary for this role is more than $100,000 a year, and since its inception in 2020 has cost the county north of $500,000. I imagine you would have appreciated having an extra $500,000 for the budget this year. Has the taxpayer seen $500,000 of benefit over the last 5 years? Before setting the stage to cement the Chief Diversity and Equity Officer role into the county charter, please consider initiating a cost-benefit analysis of the position. What exactly does this job entail? What has it accomplished? Is it worth the price to the taxpayer? Please pump the brakes on this change and give yourselves time to investigate the role's value further before having the public hearing. I would also like to ask you not to raise the room tax. As it stands, the tax is already very high relative to other communities, and much of the room tax revenue is going to support the downtown Ithaca Conference Center, which is operating at a loss of about $90,000 a month. Instead of raising taxes, please consider finding ways to address the issues at the site that are outlined in a recent lawsuit I imagine you are all aware of. Find a way to reduce the hemorrhaging of cash that is causing the room tax revenue to be poured down a bottomless pit. This would be a more efficient way of making the room tax revenue currently being brought in go further. Even if demand is inelastic and resistant to being suppressed by increased taxation, it amounts to shaking people down who have no other option apart from staying outside the county. Please make better use of the funds already being collected and do not raise the room tax. Thank you.
Amanda Kirsch-Gessner.
Good evening. I don't have any prepared comments tonight. I did notice the hotel tax being on the agenda. I've been to several meetings where all of the people who are in affiliated industries have basically begged for this not to happen. So hopefully you will take the recommendation of the people who know not to raise the tax further. I do think Zach Wynn brings up some good points about creating a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer to the tune of $100,000 a year. Seems like a really poor choice to codify that into our charter, especially when you're looking at eliminating unbudgeted and vacant positions right now this evening. Resolution J here under the Budget and Capital and Personnel Committee. So if you're going to be defunding all of those positions, it seems like an opportune moment to defund another position that costs us $100K. I'm sure you're well aware there's a bunch of people outside screaming and yelling. I couldn't even really tell what they're screaming and yelling about, but I love that they have the freedom to do so. And I'm not sure if they'll come in and try to talk to you tonight. I kind of hope not, because they're seeming really disruptive out there. But it's cold, and I wish they would come to the meetings and actually talk to you guys, because I know how accessible you are, and that's one thing I do really truly appreciate, is that I see most of you out there in the community on a regular basis doing your best, serving at your jobs and in your families and in your communities, and I think that that's really meritable. It's going to get cold. We're going to have to tighten the belts. Hopefully we can model a government of people who are very different working together to achieve meaningful ends to the benefit of everybody who calls Tompkins County home. So I will yield back the rest of my time and be praying for all of us. Thank you.
Next up is Naomi Grasick.
Every time I leave my neighborhood on West Hill, my car is photographed by a flock camera. Every photograph of my car is scanned by Flock's AI software. My license plate, make, model, color, bumper stickers, body damage have all been recorded along with the date, timestamp, and direction of travel. A digital fingerprint of my vehicle has been created by Flock. That data and my driving patterns captured on camera are stored in a database for 30 days. An entire month of my driving movements are available and searchable to over 100 law enforcement agencies all across New York State. On October 16th, U.S. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon wrote a letter to Flock's CEO, Garrett Langley, in which he described how his office investigated Flock due to constituents' concerns over their privacy and digital security. In this letter, which you have before you, Senator Wyden outlines his view that Flock cannot live up to its commitment to protect people's privacy and security. For example, after learning of abuses such as police officers stalking ex-girlfriends, Flock said it would implement the safeguards of requiring an active case number to search its database. This update has never happened. I'm quoting Senator Wyden's recent letter here. Flock has confirmed to my office that it does not require its law enforcement users to enter a case-specific reason, nor does Flock prohibit law enforcement customers from entering meaningless generic reasons such as investigation or crime. Data recently provided to my office by the Electronic Frontier Foundation from a data set of 11.4 million Flock nationwide searches for a 6-month period obtained through a public records request reveals that more than 14% of the search reasons contained just the word investigation without a case number. Due to public concern, the Tompkins County Sheriff has updated their flock policy and revoked camera data access to counties with 287G agreements. He also requires the staff to use a case number to search the database, but an active case number is not a requirement of Flock software to access the system, and our location data is available to over 100 jurisdictions across the state. So, does Ithaca PD require a case number? Does Cayuga Heights PD require a case number? Does Cornell PD require a case number? Binghamton, Buffalo, Rochester, or Albany? Because Flock has not made this a mandatory requirement of its system, our information is still vulnerable. Does this sound like a safe system that protects people's civil rights? Indeed, I see this system as a violation of my Fourth Amendment rights, and a system that is meant to strengthen the power of a surveillance state that we're all living in under the guise of so-called security.
Reggie Teasley.
Hi, my name is Reggie Teasley. I live in Ithaca. At our last month's legislature meeting, there was a discussion about how we are all already tracked by our computers and our cell phones. One legislator even held up their iPhone, essentially saying that Flock doesn't matter because we are already tracked by our phones. Digital privacy is important, and it's something that a lot of people in this town take seriously. You may know about Faraday bags. So if you all want to be personally casual with your digital privacy on your own devices, that's fine. But you're all being careless with the digital privacy of everyone who drives through the county. And I'm another West Hill person passing those cameras repeatedly during the day. On November 3rd, U.S. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon and U.S. Representative Raha Krishnamurti of Illinois issued a letter to the Federal Trade Commission asking them to investigate Flock for negligent cybersecurity practices. In the first paragraph of the letter, which you have before you, they write, Flock's surveillance data can reveal Americans' movements over time. So these are patterns. Trips to doctors and therapists, support group meetings for alcohol and drug addiction, as well as places of worship and protests. By not requiring industry standard multi-factor authentication to secure law enforcement accounts, Flock has needlessly exposed Americans' sensitive personal data captured by the company's surveillance cameras to theft by hackers and foreign spies, and unauthorized access through multiple documented instances of unauthorized password sharing. I also want to say that there's something about this whole Flock phenomenon nationally that strikes me as very large corporations going into naive, smaller towns and rural areas and basically selling them a pig in a poke. And, and then Flock comes out of that with a money-making operation, people feeling that they are more secure when in fact they are not, and producing at the same time a national network of information on citizens. I want to just remind you what's going on in Charlotte right now. ICE is in Charlotte, and they have arrested, I think at this point, 130 people. They're terrorizing their community. Some people love them being there, but most people do not love them being there. And they've asked them to leave. They have been targeted because they are a sanctuary city run by a Democratic mayor. Take note. Thank you.
Ann Johnson.
I attended the last legislature meeting on October 7th and listened intently to the discussion on Flock cameras. Thank you, everyone. I know it was a long night. There was a lot of discussion on how cameras solve crime. There was much said about the generic use of cameras and how they would or could have helped solve this or that crime, but there was not a lot of knowledge or discussion about the specific workings of the flock system, and there wasn't really a shred of evidence or data offered on the crimes that flock cameras have solved. No data at all was given on how many guns have been taken off the streets or hardened criminals arrested due to the flock system. The legislative discussion on flock cameras and solving crime was entirely supposition and speculation. Why are we using over $195,000, the vast majority of the GIVE grant, to fund flock surveillance technology, when it could be funding more important community initiatives? In addition to youth employment, GIVE funds could be reallocated to fund a credible messenger program, hospital-based violence interruption, or transformative youth justice hubs. It could pay our police officers more, give them even more overtime hours. The GIVE grant is intended to support not only police work, but transparent, community-informed work that addresses the systemic and social causes of violence. How is taking a picture of everyone driving in and out of this county considered hotspot policing? How is creating a 30-day database of everyone's driving patterns considered focused deterrence? Flock cameras around our city and county are either wrongfully invading people's privacy or treating everyone who drives through this county with reasonable suspicion. These cameras treat everyone in the county as if they might be suspected of a crime. Is that what we want to spend this public money on? So how is funding surveillance technology an appropriate use of these grant funds, especially for a company that has had abuses documented nationwide and still failed to implement appropriate safeguards? This grant should not be funding a company that handles our sensitive location data by knowingly ignoring industry standard cybersecurity best practices. But there's a solution. It is possible to reallocate the funds. As the Ithaca Times reported on October 16th, a spokesperson for the Division of Criminal Justice Services stated that the jurisdiction submits a reallocation request to our Office of Program Development and Funding, which then reviews the request and seeks final approval from DCJS leadership. Such requests are common and reviewed on a regular basis.
Leonardo Villaforte.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leo. I'm a 7-year resident of Ithaca now. I'm at the law school. The Flock project is something I've been doing a lot of research on. My only goal is not to, repeat everything you've heard this meeting, last meeting or not, but just to make sure that the debate is grounded in facts. I think everybody would be well served by having information at their disposal to make well-informed decisions about a lot of this. So you can reference the flyer here that I think will be helpful. It condenses a lot of the debate and the information for you. The first point that I've heard repeatedly, I wasn't at the last meeting, but I was at the city meeting, is if you look at just statistics, this is from the Tompkins County website and Ithaca Police Department collecting this data. What you see is actually a really successful trend post-COVID, a significant decline in gun violence and related crimes. Unfortunately, those are not due to the flock cameras. You see, they were fully installed only a full year after the contract was signed at the end of 2023. And so what you see is actually 0 firearm-related deaths in the 2 years prior to it being fully operational. This is not surprising. Flock is not a preventive tool. It's about finding, missing things or tracking car after the fact. So I think that debate is a little misguided. Second, I urge you to consider looking at the list of privacy violations. It's nice to debate in the abstract what the potential goals of this are security-wise, but really once you become aware of all of the information I've provided, it's not a surprise you see Flock being sued all across the country, including in Virginia. Flock passwords have already been hacked in over 35 different places. Those counties no longer have access to that data just themselves. There have been illegal nationwide searches on police accounts. Again, unauthorized searches. So this is not to condone the behavior of anybody here, but rather just to make you aware of potential risks. Now, I think this is also not a surprising result. I've had time to analyze the contract in details, and there are 2 provisions that really stand out as a little problematic. The first is under the contract that we've signed, Flock reserves the right to use anonymized data to develop a variety of novel products. This data doesn't have to be limited to this area, so they can use it across the country. Number 2, we've given Flock the right to turn over data if they determine they're legally required to do so. So it's no longer under our control whether or not Flock's data gets turned over to, for instance, any government agency. They make a determination of whether or not they feel they're legally required to do so. And what you see in a lot of different counties is actually, for instance, ICE officials knocking on their door. And so my only point is we've lost our voice in that respect. You no longer control whether or not data will be shared outside of what should be a sanctuary city. Thank you.
Next up is Tompkins County Legislator-elect John Hunt.
Hello. I am legislator-elect for the 12th District, John Hunt. I'm using my privilege of the floor to support the effort to include the Chief Equity Diversity Officer in the Tompkins County Charter. If everyone believed that all people are equal in ability, then there would be no racism. If everyone recognized that all nationalities are capable of greatness, then there would be no need for diversity training. No matter how many times we sang "We Shall Overcome" in the 1960s, or thought the times they were changing, the prejudices and stereotypes remained, and people need to be reminded by someone who is trained to point them out. If we want to continue to bend towards justice, the moral universe towards justice, then we need to support tonight's resolution. We also need to accept criticism ourselves and and acknowledge our own weaknesses. It is time to embrace our friends of many colors, traditions, and cultures. Admit that we have more than a speck of bias in our own eyes. Therefore, yes, we need a permanent role for a Chief Equity and Diversity Officer chartered into our organization. You have the chance to help make this happen when you vote tonight. Do not deny your responsibility. Let it be so. Thank you for your time.
Next up is Peggy Coleman.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. I am here to talk tourism and room tax. I've shared data with you, the committee meetings. I'll continue to share it again. Our visitor data is showing that our visitation is down. Times are challenging for multiple reasons that I have shared in the past. Our international visitation overall year over year is down 52%. Of that international visitation, Canadian visitation is down 72%. Canadian travelers outside of the U.S. are our #1 visitors, and they travel all year. They are not afraid of winter like some of our other visitors are. So from a leisure travel perspective, this is really not a good time to increase taxes, to create more expense to folks as they're trying to manage the expenses of everything else in their lives. The other perspective of increasing the room tax is, as Nick has shared in his document, and I've shared verbally at other meetings, for group business, gathering all of those expenses from a meeting planner's perspective, increasing the room tax another 1% will make us the second highest tax in the state. So when we are comparing and competing with places like Albany, like Saratoga, like Schenectady, like Corning, we will lose because it will cost those planners more to book their meetings and conferences here, whether it's in the conference center or it's in one of the hotels that are established or the freestanding places that are in our rural communities. So I please urge you to not choose to increase the room tax, not now. Thank you.
Next up is Brian Carden.
Hi, thank you. So I know that local politics is very important. I've been told that often, and I believe it. But I have a lot of excuses for why I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. I've got 2 kids. I've got a full-time job. So I was a little surprised and a little disappointed to find out that I had missed the fact that my neighbors had installed security cameras all around the county that were tracking me and my family and my kids and my friends. So actually, I wanted to read a short passage from a book that I hope you guys all know about. There was, of course, no way of knowing whether you were being watched at any given moment. How often or on what system the thought police plugged in on any individual wire was guesswork. It was even conceivable that they watched everybody all the time. But at any rate, they could plug in your wire whenever they wanted to. You had to did live, from habit that became instinct, in the assumption that every sound you made was overheard, and except in darkness, every movement scrutinized. Unfortunately, the flock cameras have infrared vision, so darkness does not help us here. So I guess I wanted to urge you to turn off the flock cameras as soon as possible and stop adding more and stop turning on more and stop paying flock money. I realize it would have been better if I'd been paying attention when this decision was first made, but here we are. I work with information technology in my job, and I wanted to say that the only possible way for this data not to fall into a malicious actor's hands is for us not to create this data. The only reason why they don't have your data is because they don't care about your data. They will care about this data. This is very useful data to a lot of people. I include ICE in the category of malicious actors. They will almost certainly have access to this data. We've shared it with dozens of other police departments. It just takes one person to say okay to a friendly call from ICE, and ICE now has their login. There have been documented instances of flock camera logins being bought and sold on the dark web. There are numerous security vulnerabilities. The fact is that I don't trust the Ithaca Police Department or the Tompkins County Sheriff's Department with this data, and that's not a criticism of them. I wouldn't trust myself with it. You shouldn't trust me with it. No human should have the power to track all the people in the county all the time. That's just not a power that humans can responsibly handle. So I really hope that you reconsider this. I'm sure that you made this decision in good faith, wanting to reduce crime. It might even reduce crime. I don't know. The statistics are a little fuzzy. But I certainly don't think it's worth it. So thank you.
I think the next name might be Jared. Okay.
I timed this out at 3 minutes earlier, so let's go. You didn't get rid of me. I'm back again to talk about flock. I'm not going to talk about the dubious efficacy of flock, nor the blatant violation of the Bill of Rights this time, just about the security vulnerabilities. There was a technical white paper that was recently published that I'm going to try and summarize in 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Keep in mind that all of these exploits can be carried out by novices and amateurs. Flock's promise that images of people are not Flock's promise that images of people are not stored is a complete lie. So was the promise that images are deleted off the device after 7 days. Images without vehicles or license plates are intentionally stored unencrypted. Test photos from the factories can be found on devices. Pressing a button on the back of the device a certain number of times gives you access to the shell. I'm not going to go into the whole computery side of things. It's administrator privileges. It lets you read all the data on the device, install other apps on the device. This means that footage could be altered. How is this supposed to be permissible in court when anyone can press a button on the back and have access to everything that's in the device? Multi-factor authentication is not required by Flock. The thing that pops up on your phone that says, did you just try to log in from Ithaca? That's not required. On the superpowered surveillance system, Disney Plus and TikTok have stricter login security measures than the spy cameras do. Flock cameras happily connect to dummy networks and send unencrypted plain text credentials over them. A dummy network is like if I turn my phone hotspot's name into Tompkins County Wi-Fi, and then you connect to that, and then I get to read all the stuff that you send through it. The Flock cameras will do this, but instead of connecting to the proper network, they'll connect to other wireless networks named whatever, like Flock Wi-Fi official. You can then read the unencrypted login info that gets sent through the dummy network and use that to log into the real Flock network. Flock's demo site, the one that we could pull up right now on a phone browser, has exposed live API keys that allow access to the full suite of tools, tracking police patrols, building investigation profiles, hot list reports, or hot list alerts, and sometimes even officers' names and cell phone numbers, all accessed with no hacking, just knowing where to look. Many models of the Flock camera are running Android 8, which is not, in my opinion, secure enough to run state surveillance systems on when it was modern, but now it is outdated and hasn't had a security patch in 8 years. Continuing to use Flock is nothing short of negligent. This should be viewed as, and I'm not exaggerating for effect, a national security risk.
Next up, Editor-in-Chief Matt Butler.
Hey everyone, wait, is it on? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Hey everyone, my name is Matt Butler. I work for the Ithaca Voice. I'm here tonight to talk about the official newspaper designation resolution that's coming up for discussion. I understand that you guys are sort of backed into a corner by the state's criteria for what can be the official newspaper. But for years, you guys have had pretty much the same discussion about how you'd like to have another news organization designated, but it's not possible. And I understand that's likely the same conclusion that will be reached tonight. But I think that the instinct is correct, that we all know there's a problem with what the official newspaper is right now. And sorry, I wasn't going to use the phone, but then I'm choking. So I think that pumping thousands of dollars per year into the Ithaca Journal, it's certainly a waste of public money, but it's also just a waste of effort and intention for the public. If the point of a public notice is actually to spread the word, to make the public aware of something that you guys deem it appropriate for them to be made aware of, they need to actually read the publication that is being disseminated in. And they're not going there, they're not going to those publications for the public notices, they're going there for the local news. And if that publication isn't providing local news, there's not going to be anyone there. You're going to be shouting into the woods, man, I had a joke there lined up, but anyway. There's a disconnect. If the audience isn't there to be made aware of anything, then there's no point to the public notice at all. And I realize that I run a competing news organization, and so I'm a biased party here. But the point holds true. It's every organization, whether it's The Voice or The Times or Tompkins Weekly, every organization in Tompkins County is doing more for local news than Gannett is through the Ithaca Journal. And I don't think that it's appropriate or smart to keep sending Gannett money just to pay rent on an empty office, or more likely, honestly, to just reallocate the money elsewhere where they deem the news, more important for people to receive. So I do know that, it's likely to be the same conclusion. I recently learned that Rich John was a delivery person for the Ithaca Journal, so I know the fix is in. But I think that was the joke I was going for earlier. So whatever change, you can, whatever change you can impact at the state level, I'd encourage you to do it. Whatever effort you can expend to do that. I think it's important for everyone, in this room and everyone who doesn't come to these meetings, because they're the people who go to the news, to receive the information. And if they're not there, it just doesn't matter. No one's going to hear about any of this stuff. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Next up is Paul Rossi.
My name is Paul Rossi, and I'm not a resident of Tompkins County. I am your biggest supporter. I watch all of your meetings, your committee meetings too, and I'm here to say one thing and one thing only. You all deserve an amazing amount of credit. My travel in 15 other counties in upstate New York, you are by far the most transparent county. You do so much work for every piece of your budget. I'm listening to budget hearings, and I have to tell you, I joked earlier, it's nice to be home, just where people care. And you, every day, all of your work is for the betterment of the county. And I would love to come here and complain about something. I hear about flock cameras, the official newspapers, everywhere I go. But legitimately, you guys are the best. You do such a good job, and I hope that more people come here to say thank you, even though I don't get to live in your county. Your county administrator, your treasury folks, finance folks, absolutely amazing. All of you, and I want to apologize personally. I'm going to use names. Shauna and Greg, I'm sorry that I email you during the meetings when you can't imagine what I'm saying at my desk when I'm hearing things that no one else gets. And Corman, you're amazing. I thank you all for your jobs. Thank you for what you're doing. Congratulations to those who are coming. You have big shoes to fill. And Dan and Mike Lane, thank you for welcoming me 10 years ago. I really appreciate it, and I will never stop being a cheerleader for Tompkins County. Thank you.
All right, the meeting's over. Thanks, everybody. Next up is Danny.
Hello. I'm assuming at least a chunk of you saw and have heard the rally outside coming in. For those that missed it or couldn't understand our chants from all the way in here, the rally is about the housing situation in Ithaca right now. The county is legally responsible for Code Blue. I'm assuming you should all know what that is, but Code Blue is the fact that the county is legally required to house people on nights under 32 degrees for 2 consecutive hours. This county is actually really fucking bad at that. Last year, a man died. This year, people have been calling and a time or two they have been hung up on. A couple times people have been denied. Last week, one of the women we know was kicked out of a hotel room because she had too many possessions. This is all happening at the same time as not just the county, but the city is also being really shitty.
Excuse me, Danny, you've agreed not to use lewd, obscene, or profane language. Thank you.
The city, can I spell it?
No.
Okay. The city is also being very not good. Their camping ban is ludicrous, and they have they kicked people out of the only heated bus stop that is a block away from where the man died last year. And we are here. We've been yelling at the city too, but you can hear us. We're here yelling at you to be better. It is your job to house people. That is what New York State puts the Code Blue responsibilities on the county. It's your job. And if you can't hear all of the chants we're yelling at you today, I'm going to read some out for you, not the ones with obscene language. I'm trying to think of what counts as obscene language. Give me a sec. Hey county, hey you, you're bad at Code Blue. Hey county, hey you, you're bad at Code Blue. Incompetence we won't abide, it is too cold outside. Listen to your constituents, that's probably the word. Listen to your constituents out here in the cold yelling at you right now, please. It's ridiculous. Do something.
Next up is Tom Wright.
Hi. Okay. So I wasn't, well, I saw them outside, and so homelessness, crime, food insecurity, declining mental health, domestic violence. They're all part of the disappearing American dream. It's not the fault of Tompkins County, but it's the fault of a term I've come across recently. It's called structural violence. Part of the structural violence can be explained. There's a guy named Dean Baker. He's active in the Council for Economic Policy Review. And he had an article about the case for Trumpers' anger. And it outlined all the government, from government programs and policies that helped the rich get richer while the wages of the working class have more than stagnated. So there's, like I say, it's not the fault of Tompkins County that all these things happen nationwide and worldwide. But they've, there are powers that care about their own profits more than people, and they use divisive issues like, I believe they do, they use divisive issues like abortion and gun control and racism as tools of division to get us to be distracted. And a lot of voters were very disillusioned for a long time. Trump promised he'd change things. Now, in his second term, mostly we've seen him just act for the benefit of the already powerful and wealthy. So locally, I've spoken before about the possibility of local money, so I'm plugging for that. That'll help give an option to the ruthless, often unintentionally ruthless worldwide competition. But there's value in local work and local products and neighborliness to fight the worldwide isolation. Thank you very much.
Tim Turicek.
Good evening. I'd like to speak about the Code Blue situation in our community. I'm not so naive as to think that there's easy solutions to the problems of homelessness and drug addiction and mental illness in our communities these days, but sometimes I think we make problems unnecessarily difficult. I mean, I'm thinking, what if there were large institutions, large buildings in our community in the downtown area that were warm and empty each night as our neighbors struggle to survive on nights this cold and colder than this. And what if those institutions could open their doors to provide shelter to at least some of our neighbors on these nights? And the good thing is that we do have some buildings like that all around us here. And the owners of those buildings are all committed, with maybe two exceptions, to a Christian faith. It's possible I'm misunderstanding what Christianity means, but I think it's supposed to be in support of our most vulnerable, the people who need our help the most. And I would suggest to this body and other government bodies that perhaps you could provide a tax exemption for these institutions. Oh, they already have it. So I'm wondering, if that's the case, what's that tax exemption for? Because that's going to be worth a lot of money. Some of these buildings are really nice and in prime real estate, and that tax exemption, what's that for? It seems to me that maybe those institutions have already been paid to provide the kind of Christian or just humanitarian service that they claim to be in existence for. And so I'm wondering if it's not time for those institutions to step up and open their doors and get our most vulnerable populations off the street. It won't come without problems. There will be body odor and other difficulties. But I think, isn't that what they're there for? Isn't that what they're there for? Thank you.
I want to thank all the members of the public who came to speak tonight. We're going to move on to municipal official privilege of the floor. Before we do that, I just want to mention to the legislators, some of you may be preparing a response to some of the Code Blue issues we heard, and of course you're welcome to. I just want to let you know that I've written up like a summary of everything that we do that I'll be delivering during my report, just so you know.
Could I ask a question, Dan?
Yeah.
Could you do that now? Like, can you go first?
If nobody objects, I can do that. Okay.
Be great.
All right, thanks. So this year's Code Blue shelter is approximately twice as large as last year's shelter. Unlike the previous shelter, the bathrooms are fully inside as compared to having a bathroom trailer attached to the building. This year's shelter has showers, last year's did not. The men's and women's sections are now separated in a more private way than they were previously. There is now another small room in the shelter that can be used to provide an extra space for any situations where a little additional privacy may be needed. The county has increased the budget for the operation of Code Blue. The extra money is being used to keep the shelter open all day as well as all night. This is the first year we have ever provided all-day emergency cold weather shelter. Another addition this year is case management, and that will take place in the shelter. Food will be provided. Transportation will be provided on a limited basis to pick people up at certain locations who want to go to the Code Blue shelter. Dogs will be accommodated as possible. Dogs require an extra level of infrastructure and cost and raise potential issues about safety of guests and staff, flea infestations, and diseases such as rabies and parvovirus. If the shelter becomes infested with fleas, the entire shelter must be shut down for 6 days to clear the infestation. All that New York State requires of counties in terms of Code Blue is to furnish a warm space. That's all. It does not even require that we provide sleeping space. Daytime hours, case management, providing food, accommodating dogs, providing transportation, and more are ways in which Tompkins County is going well beyond the legal mandate in order to try to provide a safe and humane option for those in need and to help them get out of their current situation. The Code Blue shelter is only legally required to be open on nights when the temperature drops below 32 degrees. Our Code Blue shelter will be open continuously starting in 6 days and running into April. In other words, we do not close the shelter on a night, for example, in February when the temperature only gets down to 40 degrees. When I look at the dedicated staff we have both in the county and with our not-for-profit partners, Volunteers of America, who are engaged in very difficult work, when I look at all the monetary and other resources we are bringing to bear to address people in need, when I look at all the ways that we go far, far beyond what is legally required of us, I see an organization that deserves congratulations, and I'm proud to be part of that organization. Apparently, some people look at those same facts and come to a conclusion that we are not doing enough. I don't know how else to respond to those critics except to give the explanation that I've given tonight.
Dan, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If you don't have this, I know Corsa does or Monica does. Up until the Code Blue shelter is officially open, we still have had Code Blue days. What's happened on those days?
We are putting people up in hotel rooms until that shelter is open.
So the Code Blue days we've had up until now, that's what's happened, basically.
Correct.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, legislators may have more to say about that, and you're certainly welcome to. Thank you for letting me read that. We're going to get to the legislators in a minute. First, we're going to go to municipal official privilege of the floor. We have Pierre St. Perez, Common Council, City of Ithaca. Welcome, Pierre.
Thank you. It's great to see you all. I have great news to report. The city did pass a budget. We are not going to be attempting to run off of non-existent funds, to my knowledge. And we managed to successfully fund our cooperative ventures with the county. Coming up tomorrow, we have public hearings on a few matters, including the Southside Forum District rezoning plan, which should, if passed, allow for more density in our Southside neighborhood as we move into our comprehensive rezoning that'll be going on at least for the remainder of the following year, like next year. Besides that, we also have proposals to begin seeking state authorization for red light cameras, school zone speeding cameras, and citywide parking passes. Speaking of which, it is worth noting that council's past budget includes paying for Saturday parking. So we will this coming year begin at some point charging for parking on Saturdays. At least if we don't, we're going to be looking at a $300,000 hole in the budget. Yeah, I think that that summarizes it. I'm ready for questions.
Questions or comments for Pierre? Shauna?
What do your businesses think of the Saturday parking?
Varied responses. Some are quite unenthusiastic. Others feel like it might cause more turnover in parking on Saturdays.
Thank you.
Greg?
Yeah, is that 300,000 in parking revenue the net, or I'm assuming you factored in the cost of enforcement?
I am going to be completely honest. There is not a fully fledged plan. It's a broad approximation. And when I asked a similar question to city administration, I was told not to worry about it.
So I guess, well, I would encourage you, because as the remainder of your term is, I don't believe in lame ducks, and neither does Amanda Champion. I would push that because it absolutely is your job. And I say this respectfully because I believe it's my job as well here in this body to question those type of assumptions. Because if somebody's just throwing out a wag and, hoping nobody's going to notice, but it seems like you already have 5 days a week of at least two or three people that walk around and check for violations. Are they going to also pick up Saturday? Is there shift differential, weekend overtime pay, or are you going to have to add more staff to an already tight budget to enforce something that is, I think, somewhat questionable by the community at large?
I mean, these are all very good questions. The administration is, as I understand it, working on a plan. If that plan involves bringing on more staff, it would require council authorization. So there is an opportunity for this decision to be taken back, especially if the plan that's brought forward has significant drawbacks.
Yeah, but then you have a massive hole in your budget, right?
Yes.
I guess I'm struggling a little bit, and then I'll stop my line of questioning, because I appreciate the courtesy of you coming here. But it seems that if you pass something with no plan, it's like making a guess in the dark and just kind of hoping for the best. It seems a little short of the duty that the Common Council's elected to uphold, to ensure before something's passed that there's a plan of how are you going to receive that revenue or what that revenue is going to cost to collect.
I mean, on a personal level, I will note that my lack of faith in the budget that we've passed has been reported publicly.
I read that, actually. Thank you for your honesty.
This said, I think there's a lot of open questions there. We do have a budget, and I will note that if we had not passed the budget, the $2.1 million that were originally in due to an accounting error would have that budget would have taken effect, in which case we would have had a bigger hole to deal with than if these parking fees don't materialize, right? Like that, in the end, that is a reality. We had to work on an incredibly expedited schedule due to the late discovery of the accounting error. Next, council can amend the budget. On a personal level, I hope they do.
Hear, hear.
Veronica.
Well, thanks for coming. I'm completely comfortable not knowing the nitty-gritty of the implementation of the city's specific policies, so that's cool. I think that, I guess I just wanted to say that, and Saturday parking seems like not a big deal. I've also heard from, at least at the Downtown Ithaca Alliance board meeting, the retailer representatives there, at least overall in general, thought it wasn't going to be a huge deal. Like it wasn't going to change all that much. And anecdotally, I see people like circling, looking for parking on the weekends. There might be less of that. I've watched people attempt to pay for parking on the weekends, so that now they can just do it, I guess.
The desire is
not
there.
Now. It's not starting now, right?
No. And as far as I'm aware, it's not like it's going to start New Year's. We have to iron out what the implementation plan is going to look like.
Rich.
Yeah, budgeting is hard choices, and it sounds like you've had to make several of those, including the Saturday parking. Not to pile on what Greg was saying, but it will be interesting to see if there's an impact on sales tax revenue as a result, but yet to be seen. But that wasn't what I wanted to ask you about. And I'm happy to hear that there's going to be a comprehensive review of the zoning. Is College Town included in that, in particular the possibility of making some changes regarding dormitories in College Town?
My understanding is that it is going to be a full city-wide approach to our zoning, not just any given neighborhoods. That would include College Town.
Okay, thank you.
Mike Sigler.
I was just wondering, I mean, unfortunately, the state plan for the Route 13 doesn't include my land bridge idea, but it is a huge project, and I'm just wondering how communicative the county or the state has been with the city.
I would refer that to the city administration.
Okay.
Any other legislator? Oh, questions? Sorry, any other questions for Pierre? Pierre, thank you, as usual. Much appreciated.
Of course. Thank you all. Have a good meeting.
Okay, I don't think there are any other municipal officials in the room, so we're up to legislator privilege of the floor. Travis.
Dan, thank you for sharing our Code Blue and what's happening with it. I really appreciate that. I also appreciate the work that county administration has done, DSS has done, the buildings department to get our shelter up and running in a few short days. I went on a tour Monday, and you can see the possibilities and you can see what things can look like. It's exciting to take the pressure off of DSS and have a non-profit provider there to do all that work. DSS was stretched thin last year to make things happen. So I'm sure that taking the pressure off of them and letting them get back to what they do is great for DSS, especially looking at what's coming up with SNAP benefits. So far this year, we've housed quite a few people on the Code Blue nights. And every time you go through a process, you can look back and think about the things you would do differently and do better. It's always a learning process. If we were at 9 in this process, there's the goal to be a 10 next year. If we were 8, there's the goal to be a 9. So I think that no matter what we do, there's always an opportunity to learn from it and do better. And no, we didn't get it up and running by November 13th or whatever it was, but we had a plan to house people. People have been housed on these nights. We've worked out some of the difficulties along the way. So I just want to say thank you to those departments and those folks that have put that time in, despite what folks may think. people have done a lot of work, a lot of hard work to get us to this place, and I just wanted to say thank you to those department heads, the people that work in those departments, and really give them a shout out for a lot of work that they've done. And they've taken a lot of heat along the way. And here we are getting ready to open, I think, up to a 100-bed shelter, 24 hours a day, with laundry, with showers, with case management. We've seen what case management has done for families, getting them into long-term housing through DSS over the last few months. So case management works, and we can really help change people's lives and the trajectory of where they're at. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate the efforts that you all have done. Oh, don't clap yet. Wait a second. Friday is GIAC's annual Harvest Fest. Since COVID, we have been doing to-go orders. We are very excited to be live and in person and be able to invite the community into our new rec center to sit down and break bread together. So from 5 to 7:30, you can come on in to the GRC, the gray building right next to GIAC, and you can sit down with friends and family and community members and enjoy what people call a Thanksgiving. We call it Harvest Fest, a free meal. There's no charge to anybody. Bring your friends, your kids, your families, and then come enjoy a meal with the rest of the community. 5 to 7:30 on Friday. I know Mike Sigler will be there. He's always there.
May actually be there.
He never passes up a free meal.
Rich.
I did want to mention that last weekend at the public library, there was a really nice event recognizing the 25 years that the library's been located at the building on Green Street. But at the risk of some redundancy, I did want to add my voice to say, listening to the complaints, we can always do better. And it is great we live in a free country and that people can come and be very critical of us. However, looking around the room at my colleagues on the legislature, we disagree about a lot of things, but there is no daylight between us, in my mind, that we all understand the moral imperative to help these people. And if you're looking at the numbers, it's in the neighborhood of 0.1% of our population. And then I think about what issues besides the budget have we spent more time on talking in this group this year, but Code Blue and shelter and making sure we are doing what we should be doing. I really, and having attended the meeting on Monday, the tour, and the outreach to the Cherry Street neighborhood group where all the efforts were described, there are people that aren't getting the full information here, I think. But I really worry that our staff and all the public service agencies that work tirelessly to collectively help address this situation need to hear, you're doing the right thing. You care. We see that you care, and I don't fully understand, how that's miscommunicated to the people who are downstairs banging pots together. Thanks.
Ann.
Yeah, I also wanted to thank our departments who have helped set up the Code Blue shelter. And I know it includes our Department of Social Services, our administration, our facilities department, probably more departments than that. But I wanted to thank everybody who has done that. I wanted to thank our community who is letting us know that there are issues with the current situation, and I'm sure they'll let us know that what the issues are once we set up the Code Blue. I'm hoping it's going to be set up next week. I don't know if you had said the date.
I did not. Go ahead.
We're hoping next week. I think is what we're looking at. And I've been in cities before, big cities, where if you're in coffee houses or to-go fast food restaurants. And if you're just kind of like hanging out in between when I go to conferences or visiting family or at a wedding, just kind of trying to spend time just trying to in between activities. And if you kind of look around and see who's there, there's often people who can't go, who are experiencing homelessness at that time and are not able to stay in the shelter during the day. And they're trying to figure out a place to go, a way to access services, a way to do their laundry. And I've talked to many of them. And so, for instance, even if they're able to leave their stuff there overnight, they can't access their stuff during the day. They often can't even get back into to do that. So I know it's not going to be perfect, but I really appreciate this, my colleagues and our whole county on making the determination that this was really important to figure out how to do so that people had a place to go and services. This is not just a place to stay warm, food with services, case management, and to help folks as much as we can. And I also, and thanks for the tour. We, a lot of us here and other departments in the city, and I know there's lots of other people had tours of the Code Blue shelter that's almost completed with its renovation. So we had that tour yesterday. I just wanted to mention, since the holidays are coming up, on another topic, that a lot of people are looking at purchasing, those who have the privilege and the extra income to do that are looking at purchasing products. So I'd just like to remind folks to think about patronizing businesses that are owned by women, people of color, LGBTQ, and those who have a robust diversity, equity, and inclusion policies and practices. So please think about that. And I think that was it. So thank you. And thanks for just describing, Dan, what our Code Blue shelter is going to be.
Lee.
I just want to make mention, I was saddened to read just recently of the passing of Bonnie Howard Howell, who many here will remember as the longtime chief executive officer of Cayuga Medical Center. And I'm going to date myself here, I'm afraid, but I can remember when Cayuga Medical Center was the Tompkins County Hospital, an arm of county government, a department of county government, and transformed into Tompkins Community Hospital, and then in the 90s to Cayuga Medical Center. And in its last year of operation as a county department, I think the losses at the hospital were something like $1.9 million. We know what $1.9 million means in 2025. I can't imagine the struggle that our predecessors on the legislature had at the time. Bonnie came to work for the hospital when it was a county department, became the administrator, and then transitioned over to lead in the formation and continuance of a non-for-profit community hospital that evolved into what Cayuga Medical Center is today. I had the absolute privilege of working with her, especially in the field of emergency medical services. She was what I would call a trusted partner and collaborator. And I can remember at times in the late 90s and early 2000s, we had a lot of challenges and continue to have a lot of challenges, as you know, in EMS. She came out and rode in the backs of the ambulances with us. Imagine that, the CEO of Cayuga Medical Center spending weekend nights, overnights, coming out, riding in the back of the ambulance, understanding what our challenges were, and then going back and effectuating changes in the emergency room and their operations to reflect the concerns that we had. And she also worked at the statewide level where she wielded a little bit of influence in the healthcare industry and helped to move forward and promote those issues that we had at the county level. And so didn't want to let that go without making mention of it, her contributions. And if anybody epitomized the principles of public service and collaboration, it was Bonnie. We'll miss her. Thank you.
Dan Nolan.
Yeah, shifting gears slightly here, just wanted to mention that it is deer hunting season. For those of you who live near areas where that is popular, you probably already know that. But so I just want to remind folks to be safe if you're going outside and exercise caution. Wear orange if you're going to be in the woods enjoying the fall weather. But also Cornell has a program, it's really great, that they utilize local hunters for wildlife resource and ecological management. It's a great program. Cornell owns property all throughout this county and others. Many of these properties are frequented by the public in non-hunting season. Please watch out at the trailheads and things along those lines. There's usually a sign that mentions that wildlife management is happening and in progress. It's not safe for folks to go in there when that is happening, one, but also it screws with the program and the project if you or your dog or someone else runs through there and then, you know, clears out all the deer and everything like that. Kind of defeats the purpose of the project that Cornell's doing to manage our wildlife and our natural resources around here. So I just wanted to say that. Thanks.
Veronica.
Echoing thanks to everyone who came to speak tonight. The folks speaking about flock, you continue to be right, and we'll follow up with some of you. The new information, I'm sort of horrified as someone who's been learning a little more about info security thanks to the trainings required by our county. A little horrified to hear how lax Flux is. Thanks to, I guess he left, but the person who mentioned the concept of structural violence, it's a good thing to remember that that's a thing. It reminds me also of the concept of civic trauma that I learned of, I don't know, my first year in the legislature, which is the way that interacting with like government systems and bureaucracies can be harmful to people and cause trauma such that, and a lot of times that's part of what is behind people's responses when maybe you as a representative of the government are coming in complete good faith to offer something helpful. You have all the best of intentions and everything, and the person doesn't want it. Like, it may be about things that already happened. About the code blue, thanks also to Dan for your words, and Travis and everyone else. I agree with, I don't remember every word you said, but I think I agree with everything you said. Like, all of that is true in terms of the shelter we're offering. And also, there are ways in which it is inadequate. I think both can be true at once. We're going above and beyond what the law requires in many, like providing a lot more than just a warm place. We have sheltered a bunch of people already this season. And also there have been people who have been not called back when they've called the number to access it. It's going to be better when the physical location is open, but that's rough. I know one person, I don't know at what stage in the call process, so I don't know who it was, but it was told by the person on the phone to come to DSS tomorrow to figure it out, which is not reasonable when what they're seeking as a place to be warm tonight. I think later, like there was a call back and that might have gotten resolved, but I understand why if someone either experiencing that or like sitting next to the person calling and hearing someone say, go to DSS tomorrow on a freezing night, I understand why that person would say, wow, Tompkins County's doing a bad job at Code Blue, because the entire situation right in front of them is like something broke. I think also I've been reflecting with this, like, I was downstairs at the rally and now I've been here hearing a bunch of things, and I was at the tour of the new location yesterday, which down on Cherry Street, site of the old Found building, 8 a.m. Monday, November 24th is when it opens, and it will be open 24/7 until sometime in April, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I've been reflecting on that this whole shelter system has a lot, like, it's full of people working very, very hard and doing very well to get things up and running and support our constituents. And it also is full of cracks. And I don't know, I mean, there's many things to improve, and you do it incrementally, like Travis was describing. But I think that like no matter who you talk to in the shelter provision system, and how much power they have, there's also a way in which that person, and again, someone correct me if I'm wrong, if you're the one with the magic wand, but there's a way that person is gonna feel somewhat impotent also. Like, there's aspects of the system that they can't interact with. There's aspects we don't know about. Like, I don't know the ins and outs and all the details of how a person accesses shelter right now, or what it is like to be answering the phones, helping people get into shelter at DSS, or what it's like to be managing the new employees at the shelter, or any of that. It's a very complicated system, and so there are naturally going to be cracks in it, and but I think we all have to figure out how to communicate more together, something in an ongoing way, and hear that lots of different experiences can be true simultaneously. Like someone can have been offered shelter because they were told, like, here is a hotel room you can go to, and simultaneously it's kind of also true that that person was denied shelter because they said, you can't bring your dog, and we don't have anyone else for your dog to go, and what are you gonna do? Was that person offered shelter or denied shelter? Yes. It's complicated. Also, just on that topic, I think at least through the end of November, currently, and through the end of November, there is also, a lot of the folks who are doing the rally are also hosting a warming center in the First Baptist Church. So that's one thing happening on a church from 5 to 10 p.m. on Code Blue nights, a place where you can get warm, and they have increasingly many other supplies that people might want. So, yeah.
Mike Lane.
According to the media reports, our county clerk today received a message from Immigration announcing that we would no longer be having naturalization ceremonies in Tompkins County or across upstate New York, where they were going to be canceled. And having attended the last one here in Tompkins County, I can just say they're some of the most inspiring events that happen in our county and anywhere that they are being held. And it's the kind of thing that we all ought to be proud of, because these folks have worked their way through the proper immigration channels and have taken the oath of office publicly, not oath of citizenship publicly, I should say, which is very similar to our oaths of office. What a thing to have happen. A month or so ago, there was something that happened with respect to these ceremonies when the service announced that they would no longer allow not-for-profits, and for not-for-profit, read League of Women Voters, to set up a table at these events and registered to vote anyone who got naturalized who might want to vote. And there are often people that want to do that. Personal experience, I represented and helped a man, he was German, he was in his 80s, and he wanted to become an American citizen a number of years ago, and that was the reason he wanted to be an American citizen, was to be able to vote. There are subtle ways of suppressing voting, and there are not so subtle ways of suppressing voting. I've talked in the past about the odd year elections and the institutionalization of that to lower the number of people that vote. And so I guess we're going to now move toward even year elections, which will simply allow more people to get out and vote, because that's what people do when there's a governor or there's a president up for election. So we've had administration in Washington now that has talked about rigging elections that have been against them going back to 2020, which there has never been any evidence. But of course, it's been the big lie. And so, looking forward to the elections next year for Congress, what do they want to do? They want to do the gerrymander. Well, one of our local constitutional authorities, Hank DeLay, and I think we all know Hank, told me one time that it's not a gerrymander, it's a Garymander, because the man's name who it's named after his last name was Gary, not Jerry. But I think gerrymander is the word that is used mostly and people understand. It's simply redistricting in such a way as to make sure that your party can win more elections. And so we saw President Trump go to Texas and say redistrict. Texas is known for redistricting. They've done it before in odd times. And what did that do? When Texas says, how high should we jump? Let's do it. And move forward. What did that lead to? California saying, well, we'll go to our people and see if it's all right if we gerrymander. Gerrymander is a bad thing, and I don't care whether it's gerrymandering for the Democrats or whether it's gerrymandering for the Republicans. We shouldn't be doing it. Tompkins County in the state legislature was heavily gerrymandered for over 20 years when Tompkins County was divided into 3 senatorial districts. And what was that for? So that the basically Democratic majority in Tompkins County wouldn't be able to elect a Democratic senator from this area. And that happened after at least 2 of the last, not 2 of the last, but 2 of the previous decennial census redistricting. In our county, we set up and put into our charter the closest thing we could come up with for an independent redistricting commission. And it has worked the last 2 times, almost 3 times. Hasn't made some of us happy. I haven't been necessarily happy with some of their decisions, but, you know, it wasn't the politicals making the decision. It was people who were dedicated to good government. And thank goodness for that. We have to make sure that every person's vote counts. We need to make sure that people are out there voting and have the opportunity to vote. If they decide they don't want to vote, well, as we say, it's a free country. But most people want to vote. And when things are going bad against them, when the economy's bad, when
price of food goes up, rent, when the price of everything that you have to buy goes up, people get disturbed and they want to vote for some change, and that change doesn't always result in a solution to that problem. And we've seen that in the last year. But they will vote again, and that's the beauty of our country, that even in tough times, we have elections.
Randy.
I agree with 95% of that, Mike. I won't tell you which 5% though. I want to thank the Legislature Food Bank and other entities for distributing food boxes last week. I know the Newfield Library and other entities helped distribute all those boxes. Newfield received 40 of them, and the library worked with Legislature Food Bank to get those distributed. So appreciate everybody's effort on that. The Enfield Community Council is actually having a Friendsgiving, they call it, this Friday. It's a district pass. Anybody wants to go to that? It's at the Enfield Community Council building. And then in spirit of Thanksgiving, I want to say thank you. It's been a real honor to be on the legislature and to work with this group of people. Really a committed group. I've been very impressed. And I know that government doesn't work very fast sometimes, but I will say that this legislature is committed to the important issues. And we've, as other people have mentioned, we've talked about homelessness and food security and all the other issues that come before us that we react to. And we've been extremely responsive. I appreciate the people speaking and protesting because they're saying this, it's not good enough. It's not fast enough. And I would imagine that most legislatures would agree with that. It's not good enough, it's not fast enough. But it's the system we work in, right? And we're looking for money, we're finding money, and we're looking long-term solutions, which there hasn't been a long-term solution for a shelter here, but now we're doing that. And we're doing the temporary things we have to do. We're putting people in hotels at a huge expense to the county, and the state doesn't reimburse us for most of that. But we're doing it because it's the right thing to do. You know, I'm thankful for really serving on this legislature. I think that the people here should be very proud of what they've done. I'm looking forward to us doing a better job going forward.
Deborah.
Yeah, thank you. I don't usually thank the people who come and yell at us, but I thought that tonight's speakers raised some really interesting points. I wanted to respond briefly to the gentleman who asked why our houses of worship are, what are they getting paid for in the form of a tax break. In a prior life, I worked for the tax division of the Justice Department, and sadly that division no longer exists. But what I learned was it has been the law in this country for over 200 years that the power to tax is the power to destroy. And that is why we do not tax churches, because there is supposed to be freedom of religion here, and the perception is that if we tax churches, we might destroy these houses of worship. So I hope that answers your question. I agree with you. They ought to be doing more. For the benefits that they receive, they ought to be practicing what they preach. But human nature being what it is, that doesn't happen very often. And then I wanted to respond to Matt Butler. I have great sympathy for your position, and I certainly agree with much of what you said. Unfortunately, we're stuck with a state law that says it has to be a daily published newspaper. I would point out that I've learned that NICOM, the New York Conference of Mayors, is lobbying hard to get the law changed so that we could use online publications, and I would encourage NISAC to do the same thing.
Mike Sigler.
Just need to address a couple things really quickly. While it is true that we won't be doing citizenship locally. I don't agree with that order. I think it's silly, but I don't want people leaving thinking that these folks will not become citizens. It'll just be moved to a federal building. Again, I don't agree with that. I think it's nice that it's done locally. Families can attend. It's a very special service that we have here. But I don't want people, watching this going, oh my goodness, am I going to become a citizen or not? So certainly something to look into. It's not even years, it's presidential years for elections. So just let's be clear. And frankly, it's so uneven in this state that it's a ridiculous move, frankly, in my opinion, to move all of these, not even all of these, some of these elections to presidential years so that we nationalize all these elections. Your red areas become redder, your blue areas become bluer, and it doesn't do any of the things that they said it's going to do. I mean, your sheriff is still going to be local. Half of the elections are still local. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't touch the cities at all, just, the outlying areas. So those are just two things. As for the houses of worship, some of our houses of worship do actually quite a bit of what you're talking about. Loaves and Fishes just pops into mind. Salvation Army obviously does a huge amount. So yes, everybody could do more, but I don't want to forget that there are certain religious organizations that do actually quite a bit. So thanks.
Ann.
Yeah, so where are these federal buildings that people are, does anybody know the federal buildings where people are going to go to, or they have to go to?
Syracuse or Buffalo.
So they have to figure out how to get there. Okay, thank you.
Any other legislators for privilege of the floor? Okay, thank you, everybody. I've already done my chair's report and don't have any chair's appointments. So we are up to reports, starting with the county administrator, Corsa Akumfi.
Yeah, thank you. I had some update on the Code Blue, and I believe it has been beaten enough, so I won't dive into it. But yes, we are on course to open on Monday, November 24th at 8 a.m. I checked in this morning with our rail. The toilets and everything are going in, so we are ready, and I'm hopeful we won't have any delays at all. We're also working to close on Dutch Mill. It still hasn't been closed yet. We have some few hiccups, but we are on course now. We're very close. We believe we will be able to close somewhere in December. So we're working on as much as possible to be able to do that. I'm on the call with Maury every day to see how quickly we can get it moved forward. So we're working on that. Also, as I mentioned, I believe a couple of weeks ago, I was informed by Carol Kerman that she'll be retiring as a county historian at the end of the year. We issued a statement last week inviting individuals interested in becoming a historian to send a resume and cover letter to county administration. I'll be reaching out to all of you through email about the process to identify the next county historian. Carol has offered to assist us in the process. So giving us referrals to other individuals that could be considered. So I'm really excited about the process, and I'll reach out to if anyone is interested in the review process, that we can get that done. And yeah, that's it.
Questions or comments for the county administrator?
Thank you.
Thank you, Corsa, for your updates and for sending us the other updates too on things. So do we think that the Code Blue will be opened by Thanksgiving?
Yes, we will. It will be opened.
So we're looking at, did you say a certain date that we're?
November 24th, Monday at 8 a.m. They will be opened. That being said, we are still placing people. We right now have people at the roadway. We have others placed in hotels around. And so continuously, at the moment, we are not even announced. We are going to stop announcing daily activation, but it's going to be continuously activated so people know every single day that they can access the services. So we're doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Corsa. Next up, Maury Josephson, County Attorney.
Good evening. I also was so impressed on Monday at the tour of the found site, and wanted to commend DSS and county administration for putting that together. It's good, not perfect. It's also a model of efficiency and cost effectiveness. We're getting so much more for a dollar expenditure than we could have been. And it's really a privilege to be able to participate in that. I wanted to bring you up to date a couple of legal developments just the past few days. If there are particular things about what our office is doing, those questions, we're always open to those. But a couple of things that confirm that we were on the right track earlier this year. If you remember the ICE issues in January, and there were a couple of things that our sheriff said and that I may have said, and I just want to explain some case law that has validated that. And one of the things that the sheriff said is, if we hold people beyond their legitimate sentence based on an administrative warrant from the federal government, we can be sued. And we can end up having significant liability, and he based that on a decision from a federal court in New York City. There was just a judgment entered in the Eastern District of New York in Suffolk County. The County of Suffolk was sued for retaining prisoners past their release dates based on administrative warrants. I don't know how much of this judgment will stick in the end, but the judgment in favor of those plaintiffs was $112 million. So that was a case in the Eastern District of New York in Suffolk County. More locally, the federal government has sued a bunch of municipalities and government entities in the area, including the state, the city of Rochester. One of the cases against the state of New York was just dismissed by Judge May D'Agostino yesterday of the Northern District of New York. The federal government had brought an action challenging the New York state law that prohibits arrests within and surrounding courthouses based on administrative warrants. The judge dismissed the federal action on a number of grounds, including the 10th Amendment, that the federal government is not privileged to commandeer local enforcement authority, and more generally, that ICE's authority was enacted in cognizance of and at a time when a privilege had developed against civil arrests at courthouses. And she basically concluded that that is incorporated into the federal law. So again, I think that we were on the right track, and it's a marathon, not a sprint, but hopefully these types of rulings will still be coming out and still confirm that we are either doing the right thing or guide our behavior accordingly.
Questions or comments for the county attorney? Thank you for the report, Maury. Next up, Director of Finance, Darrell Tuttle.
Good evening. I only have a few updates of my department. My department continues to work with ITS and planning to implement an online registration form for the short-term rental property owners, which is due to the changes in the short-term rental law. We are also working with the 19 school and village clerks to gather all the information to provide the assessment to re-levy all the delinquent school and village taxes onto the new 2026 town and county bill. And also, since sending out the foreclosure notices on October 1st to 123 parcels, or on 123 parcels, we continue to have property owners come in to set up tax installment plans and redeem their properties. And so far, we are up to 11 that have been redeemed so far. And my department continues to reach out and try to get the word out and work with them as much as we can in order to redeem as many as possible. That is about it, but I am open to any questions.
Questions or comments for the Director of Finance? Ann.
Thanks for your report, Daryl. Do you know, so I was at one of my, in my district, or the district I represent, one of the municipality meetings, and they said they were referring a certain number of tax delinquency issues to the county. So do the municipalities also send out notices? Or does that just get referred when the taxes aren't paid for a certain amount of time?
All delinquent taxes gets turned over to the county, and then we collect the delinquent taxes. Now on the school and the villages, those actually get re-levied. I don't think I answered your question.
I was wondering, do you know, and maybe you don't know, do the smaller municipalities, do they send out notices that, hey, your taxes haven't been paid? Or it's just the county does that?
At this point, I don't know. I believe we are the only one, but I can check up and find out if the towns and villages assist with sending out that word. But typically at this point, everything's been turned over to us, so I think it's just the county, but I can verify.
Right, I know at this point they're handed over to you, just wondering what process, but I can also ask at the municipal meetings too. So, yeah, so you don't need to follow up that, I'll check.
Actually, Drew's on, and he may be able to answer that better than I can.
Go ahead, Drew.
Yes, I know several of the municipalities send out reminder letters, but after a certain time, typically after the first 3 months, the taxes do come to the county for that collection, and then we take care of the notices from there on.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for the Director of Finance? Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you, and thank you, Drew.
Okay, we are up to agenda item 10, resolutions to be added to or withdrawn from the agenda. Amanda Champion.
Thank you. I would like to withdraw Resolution B, authorization to renew seismic monitoring agreement with Cornell University, so we can gather a little more information. So we'll come back to that at a future date. And then I would also like to pull resolutions N and O, which are related to the authorizing the sale of Fall Creek Road tax parcel and the making a negative declaration of environmental significance for that tax parcel. Also to gather more information, and my understanding is that the village of Freeville is going to be talking about this, and then we'll come back to this. So pulling those three.
Thank you. Resolution B, N, and O. Thank you. Okay, we're up to the consent agenda. Start with the appointments. From the Planning, Energy, and Environmental Quality Committee to the Water Resources Council, Cyril Parr, Environmental Health Representative. Also from the Planning, Energy, and Environmental Quality Committee to the Water Resources Council, Ann Bastoni, at-large member, Cynthia Brock, Recreation Representative, Andrew Murphy, Water Purveyor, John Negley, Soil and Water Conservation District Representative, Brett Hayhurst, at-large member, and Becky Sims, Municipal Government Representative. And then the resolutions. Resolution A, Assessment Cycle Interval Change, ID number 13586. From the Health and Human Services Committee, Resolution C, budget adjustment, Department of Social Services, New York State Child Care Block Grant, NYSCGBG, ID number 13602. And Resolution D, budget adjustment, Department of Social Services, FoodNet contract, ID number 13603. Is there somebody that would move the consent agenda? Amanda moves. Ann seconds. Ready to vote? All in favor? Any opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we're going to go to standing and special committees, and there was a request to do the budget resolution first, so that is Resolution K. Mike Lane.
Yes, this would be the adoption of our budget, and I'm moving the corrected resolution. There was a small wording correction in that. It's in your red packet. And it's the adoption of the 2026 Tompkins County budget and 2026 through 2030 Tompkins County Capital Program. And I so move.
Is there a second? Dan Nolan seconds. Rich, I'm sorry, Mike, did you want to introduce anything?
We've talked budget since April. We've had lots of meetings. We've talked about this over and over again. We've had a public hearing. We've had a public forum, and it's time to put this to bed.
Rich.
Mike, I agree, and I apologize for bringing an amendment at the more than the 11th hour, but I was going to bring it at our last meeting, and there were some reasons to put that off. So tonight, I would like to offer an amendment to add an expense of $58,590 to OAR, and the purpose of this would be to provide funding for College Initiative Upstate and the Endeavor House. Both of these programs provide real tangible benefit to people in our community. The College Initiative Upstate, I believe, has 34 people in it, and for those who aren't familiar with it, the program concentrates on people coming out of jail, prison, treatment, and provides them a different pathway out of the criminal justice system and to a college prep and college support. It's been
Excuse me a sec, we do need a second. and seconds.
Sorry.
No problem, I know you're enthusiastic. Yeah.
It's been remarkably successful, and I would hate to see that program jeopardized. Frankly, when OAR came here, they said, we save you money. That you're taking people that are in our criminal justice system, you're really putting them on a different life path, and I agree with that entirely. Similarly, the Endeavor House is a fairly small housing. It's at one house, 4 to 5 people, but these are some of the hardest to house because they're coming out of jail or prison with convictions that make them really difficult to place anywhere else. If Endeavor House wasn't there, these people would likely be unhoused and not in a situation where they could be found and supervised and helped. Endeavor House, again, has existed for several years and I believe has been a real success for our community. So I would hope to add this amount so that these two programs can continue. And I would finally say that we can do so, I believe, and stay under the tax cap.
Dan, if I may, are we able to project on the screen what we had through our budget meetings showing the projected tax cap and the tax levy? Are we able to do that or not?
Yeah, we did not prep to project it, but I think because of the because of the calculations that we did, I believe the tax cap is now 3.69? 3.59. So that is roughly about 100,000 and change. So this will put us under the tax cap. We have a draft resolution with the assumption that if this is approved, what the numbers in the resolution will look like. That's an assumption that we did, but we don't have it ready to be projected, but we can go through the numbers if you approve this.
And just for clarity, I'm sorry, the request is for 58,590. It's less than OAR was saying for both programs, but I've spoken to the director and he indicated that if this amount was funded, they could make both programs work in 2026. So 58,590.
I just wanted to make sure that, certainly for the folks at home, that they understand that right now, the proposal in the corrected resolution is below the tax cap.
Yes.
And that even with some change, and Rich has proposed something tonight, this would still be below the tax cap.
That's correct.
All right.
If it is
I just
approved,
want
yes.
folks to know that.
And I just wanted to mention OAR is Opportunities, Alternatives, Resources, a not-for-profit organization. Ann?
Yeah, just want to add to what Rich said, that I've met people in both of these programs, and in addition to saving us money for the county, it also changes lives at a pivotal time when they're often coming out of incarceration, and this helps them get the supports. I mean, the staff go way above and beyond and help them get jobs, help them with emergencies, help them go back to school, help them navigate services in the community, get food, all the different things, childcare, all kinds of things. So I can't think of I don't want to say more deserving program. It's a really needed program, and it's really is just the right thing to do to help these people at this transitional time in their lives. So thank you.
Travis?
I struggle with this because there are several programs that were reduced, and folks put in amendments to have them fully funded. Cornell Cooperative Extension. I know Annie was going to put in something for REACH and removed it. We did put money in for OAR for Sunflower. And so I think before I make a decision, I'm interested to find out where we stand with TCAT, because if we're not fully funding TCAT, there may be some money coming back. And I would be probably supportive of Rich's amendment, but at the same time, I would like to give Cornell Cooperative Extension the money that they were looking for, and I would like to give REACH the money that they were looking for. So to me, it really comes down to what is happening with TCAT before I commit to that, because there are other organizations that had to take a hit, and I don't think that OAR, as much as they do, is above that. So depending on what's going on with TCAT, I would probably be more than interested in supporting this and a few others.
Okay, it's a little bit of a stretch of the rules to be talking about TCAT during this resolution, but if everybody's okay with it, we'll go with it. Deborah?
Well, I could suggest that we table.
We could do that too.
Rich's and then act on the TCAT one first.
We could do that.
And I would be happy to make that motion.
I would find that friendly. I don't know.
I think we still have to vote on this one.
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need a second, though.
Yes, so we have a motion to table, is that the right?
He could
Travis,
just withdraw.
Can I withdraw?
And then bring it up later?
Yes, you can do that.
Guess what I'm going to do in a little
That would be so
bit.
much easier. We couldn't have to figure out
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'll withdraw.
Good, okay, very good, thank you. So we're back to nothing. Deborah?
All right, so over the last week or so, Shauna and I and today Maury have been meeting with Cornell. And we are now at a place where Cornell has agreed to an increase in their underwriters' contribution to TCAT in the amount of $280,000, which means that the city and the county contribution will be increased by only that amount, not the $500,000 that we had initially agreed to here. So my motion would be that we would reduce the allocation to TCAT by $220,000.
Is there a second? Travis seconds.
220.
220?
220,000.
Right. So we're giving them a $280,000 increase.
280?
Yes.
230.
Okay, sorry.
As opposed to a $500,000 increase.
But I'm just getting the numbers straight. So 280 was the number.
We're giving them 280, which is 220 less than what we budgeted.
Yeah, I
Yes.
just couldn't remember. I know there was
No,
some
I know.
emails,
It's
but
like-
I'm just trying to, thank you.
Mike Lane.
When we had the budget presentation from TCAT, which was very good this year, the way they presented, we had that question, what would happen if they got less than the 500,000 from each of the underwriters? And they talked about having to cut back on bus purchases and other things. So I'm wondering, wouldn't it make more sense to take this extra money and put it into contingency so that it's available for TCAT should we need to go back to the underwriters again?
I believe that would be a separate motion.
Yes, that would be, well, yes, I agree with that. Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Or an amendment.
I mean, we can discuss that separately, but for now, I just want to make it clear that we can't increase our contribution more than by the 280.
Okay, so the motion on the table is to reduce the $500,000 allocation to $280,000. Further discussion. Veronica, I'm sorry.
I just want to thank Deborah and Shauna for all your ridiculous amount of work on this, and I'm sure other people too. And thank Cornell for coming through with a larger chunk of change than they originally did. Although still, I'm disappointed in Cornell that they couldn't cough up the whole $500,000, which was just necessary for maintenance of service, especially when the other two underwriters did.
You're welcome. And I want to thank Maury as well. He came today and looked scary, and that made all the difference.
Did he wear a tie and everything?
Just in my picture.
Okay,
It's my picture.
He has this picture that makes him look terrifying. It's
Mike
great.
Sigler.
No, I want to congratulate you. I mean, this was a lot of work, and you definitely got them to bump up the amount of money. I'm just wondering, though, I mean, that still leaves a $660,000 shortfall. I don't think that will be a bus cut, since that's usually federal, but I mean, it certainly, I would think, would mean service cuts, and I just didn't know when those will be announced, or is there a timeline for those, or?
I honestly don't know that there will be service cuts at this point. I think that Matthew and his team have done a lot of work trying to figure out how to move forward if we were stuck with the $31,000 that Cornell initially offered. So I think that they are probably viewing this $280,000 increase as glass half full. Certainly, if there are going to be service cuts, Shauna and I will let you know.
Any further discussion on the proposed budget amendment to change the TCAT allocation from $500,000 to $280,000? Ready to vote then? All in favor? Any opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Would this be a good time for Rich then? Yeah, Rich, go ahead.
I'd make the same motion, so everything I said before.
Okay, is there a second on that? Ann seconds. Discussion, Travis.
Make sure I'm saying this right. I would like to make an amendment to Rich's amendment. Is that what you do?
Yes.
All right. Do I go now?
Yes.
All right.
Please.
I would like to add $37,000 to the amendment for CCE, and I would like to add $95,000 for REACH for their mammogram machine.
95,000, which you were going to add?
Got that?
Was it 95,000 to reach?
Yes.
Is there a second? Okay, so hang on a second. Amendment to an amendment. So is it not friendly to anybody? Rich?
I do have a question on the REACH piece of it.
So we can go ahead and vote on your amendment, Travis, or we could vote on Rich's, and then you can go next. Your call.
whatever's, I would like to just do it all as one.
Can I just ask for a clarification?
Yes.
And maybe I can ask my colleague, Veronica Pillar here, for the amount for CCE.
The amount CCE had requested to restore last year's 5% cut was $37,960. So I just.
That's friendly.
Okay.
How much is that again?
37,960.
37,960? Okay.
Although, or maybe I was told we might have to change the dollar amount by, well, never mind.
No, I don't think we need to. Okay, so we've got all these amendments, all these allocations lumped into one amendment at the moment. Unless, Rich, you're saying are you saying you?
Well, we need to vote on the amendment to the amendment.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless it's friendly.
Right, and I'm saying I had a question, so not friendly.
You could go ahead and ask that question now if you want.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I did look at the REACH request, and I apologize if I'm ignorant on this, but it seemed like it was duplicative of what Planned Parenthood does. Does Planned Parenthood have this capability and offer it to the community?
No, I don't believe so. That's why REACH was asking for it. There used to be a bus that came up from Binghamton, and there was an incident at Southside, not at Southside Community Center, but on the South Side. And it was 2 years ago, and they have decided that they're not coming again. And they offered mammograms to low-income women, which I know several people who were able to take care of some personal issues around cancer by being screened there. So they haven't been up here. It was Lourdes Hospital in Binghamton in 2 years. So that's why REACH put into the grants. What's the grants? Cindy Wilcox.
Human Service Coalition.
Yes, OHC. OHS. What did I say?
HSC.
OHC. Sorry. For the grant for that machine, and it was taken out because of the reduction in the budgets.
Shauna.
Yeah, I'll just confirm. I go to Planned Parenthood for my care, and they actually referred me to Guthrie to get a mammogram. So.
All right, I'd support that. That's good.
I've got Mike Lane, Randy, and Ann. Did you want to go first?
Sure.
Yes.
According to the Google AI overview, I asked it, does Planned Parenthood in Tompkins County offer mammograms? And the answer was no, Planned Parenthood in Tompkins County does not offer mammograms directly, as they do not have the necessary equipment.
I love AI.
Mike Lane.
Makes us all lazy.
Well, I guess I'm ignorant here as to where our budget is and the tax cap is with these proposals at this point. Now that we're Christmas treeing this.
I can tell you that.
I would like to ask our county administrator and county administration to do that. I'm really sorry we can't have it on the screen. In the past, we normally have been able to do that.
Okay, who's got a good total for us? Is that what you're asking for, Mike? The total of dollars that we just is in this amendment? Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah, and so are we dipping into this this $120,000 that we have from the TCAT change?
220, Mike.
Deborah, I know you've done some math, but I'd rather have it from administration if that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so the remaining amount is 220,000, and the three amendment will amount to 187,550. So remaining amount on that will be 32,450.
I don't agree.
So it was still less than the 220,000 that is coming out of TCAT.
Point of information.
Wait, hang on, I think a few people have different numbers.
Well, can I just finish?
Well, you asked for the number. We're trying to arrive at a number.
Okay.
We will get back to you, Mike, I promise. And point of information, you're right, is not debatable. Go ahead.
If there's 58,590 plus 37,960 plus 95,000.
Oh, 95, I thought it was 95.
My calculator says 191,550.
Yes, I have here 90,000, so it's my
Norma, good? Katrina, good? Yes. Okay, so we have a number. Can we repeat that number one more time, please?
191,550.
191,550. Mike Lane, back to you.
But can I just say, we had we had 122,000
Cushion?
spread,
Yeah.
approximately, based on what Norma has told us, between where we were at 3.37 and the tax cap. So you have to add that 122 to the 220 that we saved, which gives you 342. If you subtract 191,550, it means we've got 154,50 that were under the tax cap at this point.
Thank you. I'm going to ask for someone from administration to verify that. Mike Lane, it's to you.
Well, simply, I would go back to where I was before, that I think we ought to put the extra TCAP money into contingency for that. And that, what we're doing is spending a part of that at this point. And I'm losing support here for this.
Okay. How are we doing on numbers? Yes, Norma, I am looking to you.
We're, with no other additions to the contingent budget, 3.32%.
3.32% is the current, would be the current tax levy increase?
3.232.
3.32.
But, excuse me, but isn't that eating, Norma, the whole 220,000?
No.
So where does the rest of that go?
Yeah, please come up to the mic. Thank you.
It's hard to sit at the back table and answer questions. We had about 100 and, like Deborah said, we had about 120 or so available to use to get to the tax cap. So this would be using, if we had 191,550, so we haven't used all the 220 that you've reduced, but it would be, there is some leeway there to, if we wanted to get directly up to the tax cap, I'd give you a total for that, if that's what the committee is trying to do.
So I would like to see us then have an amendment to the amendment here, and that
we've amended out, yeah.
We already amended an amendment to the amendment? Well, all right, I held off before, but go ahead.
You could do it as a separate.
Yes, you could also state what your intention will be if you want.
What my intention would be to say that extra money goes into contingency. Maybe it's not the full 220 if we spent it, but I think we ought to not let it go back to fund balance.
Yes. Okay. All right. Randy.
Yeah, I just want to clear, if somebody could read the three numbers again of the three amendments.
Okay, we have the amendment. The amendment that's on the floor right now was for CCE, 37,960, and REACH Medical, 95,000. And the original amendment was for OAR for 58,590, with a total of all three of $191,550.
I'm looking at the budget online here, the Human Service Coalition, and it says the REACH number is 57,500. Is there an addition to that?
The original was 95,000.
Okay, I'm just looking what was submitted here, but maybe there's a change.
And the ask was to REACH if they could do it for 57,000, and they said they couldn't come up with the other 40 or 38,000.
Okay.
To cover.
Okay. All right, appreciate that.
Ann.
This is also for college initiative, so it's a little.
That's true.
It's
That's
a little
right.
hard to follow, but it's not just OAR. Right?
It's not just Endeavor House.
I'm sorry. It's those two programs through OAR. Yes. College Initiative and Endeavor House.
Yes.
Which I think before were broken out. So trying to go back is kind of hard.
That might be it, Randy, that it might have been two that were lumped together now. Greg, did you have your hand up? I wasn't sure.
Yes, I do. Fully support all this. I know I'm usually a dissenter to the budget each year. I think mammogram screening and breast cancer being such a incredibly invasive and detrimental disease and cancer that women and some men have to deal with. We should absolutely be supporting that and creating greater access, number one. CCE does great work. We've heard a lot about that already. College Initiative Upstate and what OAR is doing in their various residents fully support that. So I will be in favor of this $191,550 being added. I would also like my colleagues to potentially consider $150,000 difference to get us to the tax cap to refund or replenish some of our fund balance that we've eroded over the last few years. Yes, you heard it. So I will plan to bring that amendment after we've debated this one.
Any further discussion on this the amendment to the amendment? Veronica.
Has hell frozen over?
And what he
No,
did
sorry.
with Greg Messy.
Veronica.
Back to the boring stuff, I guess. I guess I'm not one usually to question money to agencies, but for the reach and the mammography, it'd be great if they had a machine, but it sounded like the thing you were talking about, the Lourdes mammography van still comes here. I looked through my email, they were at the Ithaca Free Clinic in the summer, July or June. So like, is it, it sounded like this was gonna be the only like accessible cost-wise and location mammography, but I don't think that's true.
If you're asking a question, which I think you are, they worked with the Deltas, which is a black sorority. They worked with Southside. They used to come to GIAC during the summertime. They have refused to come there. They used to go to Southside. They have refused to go there. If they go to the Ithaca Free Clinic, maybe they do, but those aren't organizations that are centered around people of color. The two that I mentioned are, and they refuse to go to those two places. So it is possible that they do still come somewhere to Ithaca, but they don't go to those locations. The north side, south side, two predominantly, so they don't go to those places anymore.
Thank you. That was relevant information I was missing.
Any further discussion? I'll repeat what we're going to vote on in a minute. I just want to see if there's any more discussion. Okay, this is the amendment to the amendment. The original proposed amendment was $58,590 for OAR. The amendment to the amendment would add in REACH and CCE for a total of $191,550. Any question about what we're about to vote on? Okay then, all in favor? Any opposed? One opposed. Okay, so now we're back to the main motion, which includes all those amendments. Discussion. Let's have a vote then. All in favor?
Wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like to propose an amendment to the amendment.
Okay.
What I said before, that the balance of the money for TCAT go into contingency.
Okay, seconded by Shauna. Can we get a dollar figure on that before we vote, of course? 150 even?
No, don't put that in my mouth.
Of course.
So you cannot make a budget amendment to go to fund balance. It has to go into an expense, and at the end of the year, if it's not spent, it goes to the fund balance. So you don't make budget amendment to go into fund balance. So it has to go to contingency account.
No.
Point of information.
Yes.
Mike.
Point of information is a question, by the way, not a statement.
I know. I'm asking if Legislator Lane's intention is to have it earmarked in contingency for TCAT purposes, or if it's $150,000 to contingent fund, period.
No, it's for TCAT purposes.
Okay.
150,000 to contingent restricted for TCAT. Is that a fair way to say it? Yes, Dan.
Can we do that?
Yeah, we earmark contingent all the time. Yeah.
That was a good question. Good question. Shauna?
Yeah, so I think this is actually a really good idea because we just got out of 2 weeks of negotiations, and essentially the compromise really came, and some of the questions that came up were Cornell's budget cycle is different than the county's budget cycle, which is a little bit different than the city's budget cycle. And so we're all trying to essentially get our cycles together. And so there might be a time where Cornell starts their budget and we start having that conversation, and we might need to pay a 6-month period in order to get on the same cycle. I don't know if that makes sense. But essentially it would allow some flexibility to do that. I think there also could be conversation in the future about another contribution that could happen if Cornell needs it, or if, TCAT needs it. Cornell certainly doesn't need it.
Greg?
Yeah, I would much rather not. I mean, the whole point of contingent fund is that it's there available if there's a greater need. Trying to get TCAT funding partners together is like herding cats. You know, you got to get the city on board. They don't have extra room in their budget.
They do now.
Pardon?
They do now.
Okay, sorry. Their financial health is pretty abysmal. That's maybe a more definitive statement. Cornell has been cooperative-ish, and we appreciate that. I feel strongly that earmarking this for TCAT when there could be much greater uses, it just doesn't make sense because we don't have the funding partners committing to this, and we still have that money available. If TCAT needs it, we can use it for that. But if food insecurity or housing or homeless response, any of those things come up, we're going to have $150,000 that we're hoping TCAT and Cornell and the city and the county all get their act together to access that at some point, maybe. I won't vote for this, and I won't vote for the amendment, and I will vote no on the budget if this is the direction we go.
Corsa, Norma, what would happen if we earmarked it for TCAT in the contingency fund and then it was not used for that purpose?
Go in the general fund.
It goes back in the general fund.
After 1 year? Is it like a year-by-year thing?
At the end of 2026, if there are excess, it goes back to general fund. But if there are deficit, there will be deficit. So, and as I said, we're starting the year in a deficit position because we already used 2.7 million from fund balance for this budget cycle. So,
Deborah.
Yeah, I find myself in a strange position of not agreeing with Shauna and agreeing with Greg.
New day, Deborah.
It is a new day in the twilight zone. Yeah, I mean, my feeling is that it's actually unlikely, even given the disconnect between Cornell's budget cycle and ours. I mean, after the conversations we had today, it doesn't sound to me like we're going to be having to come up with more funding for TCAT before 2027. I would prefer actually Greg's solution of putting it back in the general fund because it addresses some of the problem with our fund balance. And we also have pretty generous contingency fund allocations already built into the budget. So this $150,000 is fairly small compared to the whole of the contingent fund that we've allocated. And if for some reason we actually needed it for TCAT, it would be there.
So is that a motion, Deborah?
No, I thought that someone had, I thought we were talking about Mike's amendment to the amendment.
Yes, I'm sorry, and I was just corrected. We can't keep amending. Okay.
I'm just explaining my
All good.
opposition.
Thank you. So the amendment to the amendment is to put $150,000 in the contingency fund earmarked for TCAT. Further discussion. Amanda.
I guess maybe it doesn't matter, but I'm wondering why this isn't a separate amendment. Like, can we vote on the three items first and then have
argue about the $150,000?
Yeah, because that might be, some people might want to support it and some might not.
We're effectively doing that on this amendment, though.
Yeah. So, just whatever.
That would take Mike to withdraw his amendment. He's not doing that.
Well,
Further discussion, yes.
Order information, not sure. Can you split the question?
That is a motion, yes. Mm-hmm.
So would that be the appropriate motion to make
Yes,
in
that
this
would.
instance?
Mm-hmm.
So I would move to split the question and that the amendment be taken up separately. Is that correct?
There would be two separate votes, yes.
Okay.
And just to be clear, so you're separating, what's that?
There'd be 3 votes.
I guess I can't split the question until if the amendment is approved, then I could split the question.
Maury, you want to weigh in on this one? Katrina? Getting minutia here.
Who's that shirt? Anybody want to double down?
You should put your picture up now.
Big money, no whammies. Come on.
Well, we have to vote.
I think you can split. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, the amendment. So yes, we can split the question.
Yeah, I think you can.
I think you can too.
Amanda says we can, so even if Maury's not sure, Amanda knows.
Put it on.
Is there anyone that thinks we can't? Mike?
You can't do what?
Make a motion to split the question right now, to divide the
Oh,
question.
then you're going to have to vote on the amendment to the amendment on each one.
What?
Yeah.
You can't just hop over the amendment to the amendment. You can either vote it down or you vote it up.
So let's vote on the amendment to the amendment.
It does seem suspicious that the two parts of the question are at different levels in the amendment stack.
That's where I was confused.
Well, everyone's confused. Join the crowd. Norma's not confused.
I'm going to add to the confusion, but if the intent is to have $150,000 in the contingent fund available to support TCAT, should that come about, you can do that. Oh, you're going to have to pass a resolution, whether it's in the budget as a earmark or whether it's in the budget as a contingent fund. And then it'll be the same thing. It's a resolution to use $150,000 of the contingent fund to support TCAT. So that's something you can do anytime during the year. I don't know if that's helpful just to kind of get this through, but.
That helped me.
Okay.
Randy?
Yeah, I agree with Greg and Deborah, but I have a question. So if we decide to just take this $150,000 that we have remaining, we could put it in contingent account and we could and apply it to anything, right? TCAT. Yes. Or if we choose 6 or 8 months from now that we need more funding from to TCAT, we could take it out of the fund balance if we choose, right? I mean, if we vote on that.
Yes.
Right? So I don't see the need for it.
Okay. Further discussion.
What are we voting on?
We're going to state it in just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, so we are voting on the amendment to add $150,000 to the contingent fund earmarked for TCAT, adding it to the $191,550, which would be the main motion. No?
Yes, it will be added. That'll be the main motion.
Any questions about what we're about to vote on? All right, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to do 11. Do you need me to hold up a little more?
I had 4.
4 to 11. Yeah, we have
Yeah, somebody voted twice. Okay,
let's start again. Yeah, let's start again.
Okay.
All in favor?
Is that a Robert's rule? You can't vote twice?
All in
Vote early,
favor?
vote often.
Keep your hands up, please. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Good?
Those are the 4 that I had originally.
Okay, all opposed?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Okay. Great, thank you. The motion fails 10 to 4, 4 to 10. So back to the main motion. Main motion is the 191,550 that contains CCE, OAR, and REACH. Ready to vote?
Well, the motion is what? Say again, please.
191,550 to be added to the budget to cover CCE, OAR, and REACH.
What happened to the other two?
Well, OAR is Endeavor House and Upstate College Initiative. And then REACH and CCE were the two that Travis made in an amendment.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Drew? Was that Drew?
That was true.
Okay.
I don't know that he was talking to us, though.
Okay. No problem. Keep going. Mike Laney, do you have any more questions?
Somebody wanted to split this. Are they going to do that still?
No, I wanted to split.
It's not
No,
necessary.
they wanted to split your amendment to the
amendment.
amendment from the original
Oh, well,
amendment.
you split it by voting it off.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no need to split it anymore. But we
Any-
were right.
Any further
I
debate?
thought what we were asking for was to be able to split the two different proposals.
I think we're just taking the scenic route to get to the same
We
place.
have arrived at the main motion. Any further debate?
Well, no, we haven't, right? The main motion is the budget.
Budget itself.
We were right at the main amendment.
Okay, right. All right. Last chance for debate. Ready to vote? All in favor? Any opposed? That is 13-1. The motion carries. Greg?
I'd like to make an amendment to add $150,000 to the contingent fund.
The contingent fund or the general fund?
Contingent, you can't allocate to the general fund, so it has to go to the contingent fund. If unused, it would revert to general fund balance.
Randy seconds. Discussion. Rich?
What would be the purpose of this?
The purpose of this, as we sat through the last 4 months, in my opinion, hearing how we've deteriorated our fund balance, this would be my attempt at an olive branch or gesture to show that it's important to refill those funds when utilized. And if it keeps us under the tax cap, then we've done our duty, I believe, as legislators.
Ann?
I will be supporting this, especially where we have a lot of different issues, known issues, food insecurity, healthcare issues, and probably some other unknowns. So I think this will help give us a little bit of buffer so that the legislature next year will, if it's not used for one thing, might be used for another thing. So I'd like to give that next legislature some flexibility.
Shauna?
So just to confirm that this will keep us under the tax cap, exactly, what is the number?
Hang on a second. Just want to get this question answered. Say the number one more time, please. 56.
56,871.
I just want to say it out loud because she's not on mic.
It's 57,871,008. What?
Yeah, come on up.
I sent it to you in the Teams chat. 56,871,844. So if you're looking at the resolution, it's tax cap of, or the tax levy increase is 3.59, which is, it's at the tax cap of 3.59 as calculated according to New York State formula. Approximately $4.90 per 1,000 of assessed value, which amounts to a rate increase of approximately 2.17 and a net increase of 5.87 in local spending. Resolve further that the tax change will result in an increase of approximately $31.26 on a median priced home assessed at, in 2025 at $300,000, or a county tax payment of approximately $1,469. The change will result in an increase of approximately $96.90 on a median price commercial property assessed in 2025 at $470,000, which was valued at $460,000 in 2024, resulting in a county tax payment of approximately $2,302.
Shauna, did you get your question answered?
Yeah.
Very good.
fine.
Mike Lane.
I just wanted to say that, to Shauna's question, that basically this does exactly the same thing as I was suggesting without the earmark. So
Yeah.
you've gone with Greg's wanting to be able to spend it on something else.
Ann.
Can we have Norma's numbers sent to us via email?
I can print them I can print a copy right
You'll have
now.
it printed now? Okay.
Did you want that before the vote, Ann?
That'd
be helpful.
Just because I like.
Would like it before the vote?
Well,
So there's the numbers in the actual resolution. So we can just reprint the actual resolution again.
So maybe we want to reprint it before we vote? Yeah.
It's in progress.
We can take a break.
Oh, yeah.
time.
Can we take a break in the middle of a?
Can we vote on the amendment that Greg has
Oh, yeah, we need to do
on
that.
the floor right now?
That's true. Thank you. We do have an
Without
amendment.
those, that's without the numbers.
You want to see that before you take
Well,
that vote?
No, we can
You're
vote
okay?
on his amendment.
All right, we've
I'm
got an
okay.
amendment on the floor, $150,000 to contingent. Any last debate? Ready to vote then? Mike Sigler, we have a vote going on? All in favor of the $150,000? Any opposed? One opposed, two opposed. Two.
Who's opposed?
I'm opposed. No, Greg was putting his hand down.
Yeah, one more time.
Okay.
All in favor?
I don't know. I think the
150,000? Thank you. Any opposed? One opposed. Okay, we are now up to our budget vote. We're passing out the paper, yep, so we'll just pause a moment.
We'll ask for a roll call vote on this, please.
Very good.
I'm trying to gather.
Sure that makes sense.
Ma'am?
3.31.
Okay, in just a moment, we're going to have a vote. Does anyone need anything read out? Does anyone have last questions? Randy?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand. So our tax cap is 3.59, and by voting on this, we're going to be at the tax cap at 3.59.
When we say at, what does that mean?
You're equal to.
But we
A
won't
hair
exceed
below,
it.
right?
So this is our tax cap. So if we vote on it, that means that resolution that we pass in May to override the tax cap becomes moot because we are not overriding the tax cap.
Not
with this
exceeding
number.
it.
So just want to make sure we're staying below
Yeah.
the tax cap.
So
Or
being at or below is.
Okay, great. That was my question.
Mike Sigler,
We can speak on the,
we're on the budget. We are about to vote on the budget.
so I just want to make a quick statement. I really, I'm not a big fan of this budget for the simple fact that the taxes go up. However, I really just want to, I think, point out that this to me is a bit of a reckoning for us because assessments for a long time have floated us as a county. And it seems that this year that has not happened. And I don't, frankly, expect that to happen going forward. And that's why I just would like, at least my constituents, to understand that this really is, I think, a reckoning of our spending is very much apparent in this budget, whereas maybe in the past, these tax assessments going up has hidden some of that increase. And I feel that our assessment department takes an unfair share of the blame when it comes to increasing property values. I get a lot of calls from people who say, I haven't done anything to my property. Why is my assessment going up? And you happen to live in a county that a lot of people want to live in. And that kind of explains why your assessment's going up. But that really has kind of masked any type of tax increase because your properties went up, so everybody was paying more in taxes. So I just want to say that I really think that this is a reckoning. I've never voted for a tax rate increase, and yet this year, here we are. And I expect that to go forward. And next year, we have a whole lot of people that are joining the legislature. I don't want you to think that some of you sent a letter. I don't want you to think that letter was ignored. It was certainly taken into consideration. It was just a very interesting year because of this. Like I said before, I really felt it was a reckoning. It will be very interesting to work with you on the 2027 budget, which I hope we really start to look at whole departments starting January 1st. I don't know who will be heading up budget, but I hope they certainly take up issues even before we start, like setting a target in April, if that's what we do this year, if that's the month. I'm hoping we actually take those up in maybe January or February. So thank you very much.
Rich.
Yeah, this is a larger tax increase than we've passed in the last, at least, I think perhaps in my time on the legislature. And so, you know, maybe as Mike is suggesting, this is the beginning of a trend that with assessments leveling off, you know, we're going to see this each year. I don't know. I think it's really hard to predict where we're going to go for a 2027 budget right now. I would say, looking at the process we went through, this was one of the most difficult budget years we've encountered. And I think, you know, at one point we were joking we're in the disappointment business, that people come to us looking for things and, you know, you have to say no. And we said a lot of no this year. But in balance, I think we have hit a balance here that this accommodates inflationary pressures that we've addressed to some extent. We're absorbing a lot of right sizing of our wages that came through. And we're also reacting to a lot of federal changes that have impacted us financially. I think this is a reasonable job of it. And I will certainly support this budget. And I want to say thank you to all the people in our county administration and elsewhere that helped us get to the point of making this vote right now. Thanks.
Okay, Mike Lane.
We heard someone tonight speak on privilege of the floor and compliment us on the transparency of our process, and we certainly appreciated that comment. We've worked hard for over 20 years to make our budget process very transparent. But when we do that, there's no place to hide. And that's a great thing, because we have to stand up and say yes, or we have to stand up and say no, or we have to say we've got to raise taxes, or no, we're not going to raise taxes. And those kinds of decisions are out there every day when we're talking about the budget. And I'm very proud of this legislature, as I always am, to go through this rather lengthy and difficult budget process. But it is, I think, a great service to our people.
Okay, I've got 3 hands up all of a sudden. Shauna?
Thank you. I'd like to thank Mike Lane for taking us to the end one more year. You've been a civil servant for quite a while, and thank you for driving our bus to the end. I also want to note the fact that we still have some nonprofits that have provided services to us throughout the years, and we did a pretty large increase for the Human Services Coalition. So there will be some nonprofits who more than likely, because they love what they do and they serve our community, will still provide many of those services, and we might need to look at more funding for them next year. We did a salary study a few years ago, and we're starting to pay those increased wages. One big achievement this year is that we have our unions in contract. We know that the people that work for Tompkins County are being paid well, We have good benefits. And I think the last thing that we were kind of hit with that we didn't expect was our health insurance went up quite a bit for next year. And so these are things that we had to overcome to get to the numbers that we're at. But this is another budget I think we can be proud of. Thank you.
Lee.
Just a little context. I watch closely out in the district where I am what the neighboring counties are doing. Cayuga County is contemplating 12.5% increase on their tax levy. Cortland County has gotten to a point now that they think they're going to be at 7%. A little scary. I went to our town budget hearing last month and had watched a supervisor moved about to tears because they've had to exceed the tax cap and voted on it last week. We had municipal representatives here that also spoke of a range of 6 to 8 or 10% that the towns were looking at. And Mike, your description of reckoning, I think is very apt. I don't see an easy time ahead. I don't think any of us do, but still out there is the fact that we have a center of government project that's raising some questions. You've got funding for the public safety building that's pretty much been diminished. TCAT, 500,000, whether it's 280,000, it may not be enough to sustain that service. You've got the airport that tells us they can't be competitive with what we've allocated, which is again a fair amount. The shelter implications we've heard about tonight, still a $2 to $4 million question as far as I know. EMS, we're talking about a program that could cost the county tax levy into the millions of dollars if pursued. Reserves have been mentioned tonight. Our sales tax report the other day talked about the fact that we've leveled off or seen a little bit of a decrease. It's up and down. Interest income is down, and as Mike has mentioned, the assessments are flat. I'm not naive enough to believe that we'll ever see a legislature move to reduce services or whole departments. That just doesn't happen in government. But perhaps that is where the discussion will go. I'm concerned today I opened up my NYSEG budget for next year for gas service, up 50% over what we've done the last 2 years on budget. Don't understand it. Health insurance, as a retiree, 50% increase in 2 budgets. I can't imagine what those with their families and those that are on more of a fixed income are experiencing. The cumulative effect of these taxes, it's tough. And I don't think we have to look any further than the results in New York City to understand that the public is crying out, whatever side you're on, over the issue of affordability. And so I don't take raising the taxes or raising up to the tax cap lightly, but in the end, to the question before us tonight, I believe this budget balances the most urgent needs of our residents and sustains the vital and core services, whether it is above or below the tax cap. And as it is, I will support it. And I applaud the work that the legislature and administration have done to get us to this point tonight. These have not been easy decisions, and I can tell you the decisions in the next 2, 3, 4 years are going to be worse. So, thank you.
You're just a ray of sunshine.
Greg, did you have your hand up?
I did. Thanks, Dan. Lee, you said it really well. And I think that one of the reasons, and many of the reasons I'll support the budget tonight, and I have historically not been a proponent of increasing the tax cap, but I do feel like we really struggled and wrestled and grappled with our decisions. I think we challenged assumptions I think we challenged department heads and agencies. I think we challenged ourselves to align with our values as a county, to check our own, personal priorities and what many of us sort of want to see out of county government. But things cost more, and that's the reality. I looked quickly, and 2025, eggs are up something 40-some%, right? Turkeys are up almost 40% year over year. Aluminum and canned food, right? All of those things are going up, and it goes back to Lee's comments on affordability. I think next year the legislature should start the budget process January 1st. And I think we should be constantly living in a state of what is our return on taxpayer investment in county government. And I don't think we should just condense this process to 4 months or 3 months. I think we should always be trying to make improvements to services, because I fundamentally believe we have an obligation to provide the highest and best services at the lowest possible cost to the taxpayer. I think this budget provides great services at the lowest possible cost we could get to in this process. So I appreciate everybody's work and their flexibility, their challenging, and their thoughtfulness as it relates to moving this forward.
Okay, this just in. We need to reduce the budget by $98 to stay under the tax cap. Anybody got a motion? Greg?
Are you serious?
I think I'm serious.
Yes.
You better go a little bit more than that.
You want me just to pay?
I would move that we.
Let's pass the hat. We're good.
Can I move?
Take it the hour.
Reduce it by 1,000.
I was just going to.
Go ahead, Greg.
I'd like to move that we reduce our contingent fund allocation by $1,000.
Is there a second? Mike Sigler seconds. Discussion.
God, that's hilarious.
Veronica.
Okay, so
Just
Greg and Mike.
for information, what happens if we pass a budget that's over the tax cap? Anything?
Nothing.
Got to make up for it the next
There is one consequence.
Andrew
has to do
Cuomo
with
comes out
cover the,
and runs again.
Raise the age. Thank you. I couldn't think of the.
We need to appeal to the decision to maintain almost about, I believe, over $2 million in funding in Raise the Age. So because it's such a small amount, I think it's easier for us to just do it, just give it back.
Okay, any further discussion? The motion, Mike Lane.
Oh, not on that motion.
Motion is to slice $1,000 out of the contingent fund. Ready to vote? All in favor? Any opposed? That is unanimous. Mike Lane.
I just thought we were, kind of slapping ourselves on the back here, but I think we really owe a debt of gratitude to our county administrator and our deputy county administrators and all the assistants and our director of finance and his people who were our deputy directors. They make us look good.
Yeah.
And I know we all appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay. Do roll call?
Can we vote now?
Yes. We're going to do a roll call vote.
Yes.
In 3, 2, 1.
Okay, the sum of the budget right now is $56,871,746. The rest of the numbers are all staying the same in the.
No, you just took, that was the 98.
Oh, you only did $100?
We did 1,000.
Oh, we did 1,000,
We did
sorry.
1,000.
That's okay.
0.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's.
Okay, so it's 70, 844.
Yep.
870.
Does anybody need any clarification before we vote? We'll get a new one printed up, right?
The rest of the numbers will be the same because really marginal.
Oh, okay.
It's just rounding errors.
Okay, this is a roll call vote on the budget.
Ann Corman,
Yes, please.
Mike Lane,
Yes.
Greg Mezzi,
Yes.
Dan Nolan,
Yes.
Veronica Pillar,
Yes.
Lee Shirtliff,
Yes.
Mike Sigler,
Yes.
Shauna Black,
Yes.
Travis Brooks,
Yes.
Randy Brown,
Yes.
Amanda Champion,
Yes.
Deborah Dawson,
Yes.
Rich John,
Yes.
Dan Klein,
Yes.
This is the first unanimously passed budget we've had in years.
Okay, we are going to take a 10-minute break. We are in recess.
Well.
Okay, we are back in session.
Going late then, all right. You're going to do it like as a...
We were up to the standing and special committees. We had jumped ahead to do the budget. That was the only resolution we got to. So we're going to go back in time, and we are at the Housing and Economic Development Committee. Give a report. Greg Mezzi, Chair.
In an effort to be crisp, no report today.
Saves you the doc fee.
Thank you. Questions or comments for the Housing and Economic Development Committee? Next up, Planning, Energy, and Environmental Quality Committee. Ann Corman, Chair.
Let's see, we met on November 10th, and one of the highlights was a presentation from Abigail Connor, an environmental planner from our Department of Planning and Sustainability, on climate adaptation and the resiliency work that they're doing in their department. So if you're interested in that, take a look at that, especially the new folks coming in. The biggest thing that I wanted to talk about, which we have a resolution, so why don't we all see about putting that on the floor. This is a resolution supporting New York State action to address biosolids, urging a case for caution with regard to the land application of biosolids, and a proposal to establish an interdepartmental working group in Tompkins County, ID 13687. I so move.
And Travis seconds.
Okay, and if, I know we're getting late, but if we have some questions, or we have Kate Darfler here, the chair of the Environmental Management Council. So I think I'll, or Kate, if you want to give just a quick, like a 1 minute, or if you can, summary of the work that, that your group has spearheaded.
Yeah, thanks, Annie. So at the EMC, we kind of took this up, and it wasn't something that we worked in isolation, as I presented a couple times to Peak. We started by reaching out to the Water Resources Council. We reached out to the Ag and Farmland Protection Board. We reached out to Whole Health. We reached out to, with Doug Barnes, we reached out to Leo Riley. And we were looping in county planning officials as well, and also reached out to Cornell, and then to county attorney as well, Maury. And so we probably had about 12 members of various committees and organizations all kind of weighing in, talking about what the county could do. And we have looked at everything from a straight moratorium, like you saw come through TCOG, which was unanimously passed a couple months ago, a moratorium, a resolution in favor of a moratorium, and then looked at what other counties had done, and really came that we thought this was the very specific action, that the county doesn't have authority to really decide what happens on our land applications, but it really is taken at the state level, and we really need the state to take action because that's where all the permitting process goes. The one piece we did find, you'll find in the resolution, which was what Leo, Riley, and Maury worked on, to see what pieces that Tompkins County could actually do to help to understand the potential for biosolids issues in Tompkins County and to kind of watch for them. And biosolids really, as you guys can see from the resolution, is really related to the spreading of PFAS on our lands, because they're pretty concentrated there. So I'm happy to answer questions, and I know Maury is there to answer some more of the legal side of things.
Thank you. Maury, did you want to add anything? And thank you for helping us work on this, Maury.
No, I thought that was a very good summary, so I'm fine with answering questions if necessary as discussion proceeds.
Randy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board did a resolution, and they support not spreading this material on their farmland, and that was unanimous.
Mike Sigler.
I just wanted to ask Kate, because I did speak with the Ag and Farmland as well, and they said that as of right now anyway, no farms in Tompkins County are doing this. Is that correct, or is that not your understanding?
My understanding is that based on the permitting process, which goes through the DEC, there are no what are called the Class B biosolids that are being spread in Tompkins County currently. There certainly could be permits that come in the future. What is more uncertain, which kind of the resolution gets to, is this Class A products, which are the products that are then kind of further refined, but not, the PFAS are not removed from them before they're put into commercial products. So it's kind of trying to target both of those.
Gotcha. Thank you, Kate.
Any other debate? I would like to make a request that at the end where it says the list of everyone to send it to, if we could add the Association of Counties and the Association of Towns, New York State.
That's friendly.
Thank you. Is there anyone that objects to that? Okay, thank you. Any further debate?
Can I just add one more thing? So the Water Resources Council, another organization in the county, and they often advise us on different things too. They did not pass a resolution in supporting this. It was close, but one of their biggest concerns I wanted just to pass on was if the biosolids from wastewater treatment centers are not spread and, and made into a slurry and put on golf courses, farms, where is it going to go? And so then, our capacity for landfills, we know, is dwindling. So it's something that definitely, we need to follow up on a local and a statewide level. And part of this is urging, the state to look at the whole environment of that, so to speak.
Okay, ready for a vote? All in favor? Any opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kate. And
Thank you.
And we have our next peak meeting and the last one of the year on Monday, December 8th at 1 p.m.
You have one more resolution also.
Oh, I do. That's, okay, sorry about that.
No problem. Resolution G.
A little tired here. Resolution G, establishing a unit charge for the 2026 solid waste annual fee, ID 13694, and I so move.
Is there a second? Veronica seconds. Discussion. Mike Lane.
One of my favorite topics is the solid waste fee, which when it was originally started years ago, when we were closing the landfills and starting the recycling program, people were told that it would be for a few years, and then the sale of the commodities would take over, and we wouldn't have to have the solid waste fee anymore. Well, guess what? That never happened. And in fact, a few years ago, we decided to substantially increase the solid waste fee so that we could continue recycling when a lot of counties around were discontinuing their recycling programs. I think we should continue to recycle. I think we should pay for the cost of it. We did hear at one of the budget meetings that that this is an economic bargain. I don't happen to agree with that, and I think eventually this needs to be reduced. We shouldn't just assume every year it needs to go up. We used to look at using what was generated from the solid waste sales from the commodities to help support not having to increase the solid waste fee as much. And I think as I leave and other folks are taking over, you ought to keep that in mind, that this doesn't necessarily have to go up. It is a fee for service, and it's not a tax, but it can be very expensive for property owners that have multiple units, for example. And I will support this, but I wanted to make these comments.
Randy.
Yeah, this has been interesting. I know that Greg and I sat in committee and we talked about the fee, and I think it's an economic bargain of $85 for them to collect all of this material. But I am concerned that fewer materials are being recycled. And I hope next year, and I hope some of the legislators next year would consider $100 for the annual fee. And let's take everything. There's a lot of economy by taking everything. There's a lot of confusion for people not knowing what to recycle. And if you really manage your waste, because we're just sending it to landfills now, this stuff doesn't get recycled. And I'm going to push for us to recycle everything so that we can really understand the economies of that product and we can actually determine where this product's going. And I think where the world's headed is the technology behind knowing exactly where this packaging is coming from. We should be able to build these people back. And that's would be my goal.
I think it's fair to say some of it's getting recycled, not all of it's going to the dump.
Less amount.
Okay, thank you. Ann.
Yeah, just to add on to what Randy said, and I've said this before, and other people have too, that there's some initiatives at the state level to get producers responsible for their packaging, for their packaging to be recycled and their products to be recycled as much as possible. And that, I think, in addition to that, it's going to be more fair because when they're responsible for it, for instance, the packaging, right away, the packaging is going to be the easiest thing. You know, that I haven't brought stuff in a while, but more and more of the stuff that gets in boxes, try and tear it, you know, before you put it in the recycling. There's a plastic lining on it, so that's all trash. You can't recycle a lot of, just a box, a little box, or a big box even, that comes in something. So when producers are responsible for that, the packaging is going to change. That's, I think, a no-brainer. And then when they're responsible for their products, like they are in a lot of other countries, they actually sell different things here to America. A lot of companies do, and they sell something different that can be recycled in another country. So I think look for those initiatives coming up, and let's help push for that.
Amanda.
Thank you.
I was just going to give one more plug for folks who are going to be legislators next year. One of the coolest things that I have done as a legislator was go to Ontario County and go to the landfill, where actually our garbage that you put in the bin there ends up. And it was so informative, and I mean, I've never been on a landfill, and very, I mean, like, not inspiring, but inspiring to know, you know, that the people are working on this and they are trying their best, and we need new laws that make people accountable, or corporations accountable. And but anyway, it was a really cool experience, and I would highly recommend folks talking with our recycling and materials management department and trying to get another one of those tours set up.
Anyone else in Resolution G? Okay, let's have a vote then. All in favor? Any opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you, everybody. And any last things from your committee?
Please invite me to the tour to the landfill. I wasn't able to go, if it's possible. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Public Safety Committee. Rich John, Chair.
Thank you, Dan. The Public Safety Committee will be meeting next Tuesday, November 25th at 1 o'clock. I anticipate we're going to have a discussion about a program that had been in place between the jail and the DSS, where the DSS would come in and actually prepare all the papers for services before somebody left the jail. So we're going to have, I thought that was an interesting idea, and maybe that's something that could be reincorporated. Other than that, I just wanted to mention our jail numbers. We have 57 people today and 0 board outs. So everybody's here.
Questions or comments? Public Safety Committee. Okay, thank you. Tompkins Intergovernmental Relations Committee, Shauna Black, Chair.
We actually had our last meeting last month and will not have any further meetings this year. Thank you.
Questions or comments for Shauna? Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee, Veronica Pillar, Chair.
We will be meeting on Monday, November 24th, so next Monday at 3 p.m., which is off our usual schedule due to holidays. We will be voting to name recipients of the Leslie McBean Claiborne Strength and Diversity Award. And other than that, it's a fairly light agenda.
Questions or comments for Veronica? Okay, thank you. Next up, Budget, Capital, and Personnel Committee, Mike Lane, Chair.
Well, we did meet on November 13th, and we did quite a lot of business. We had some excellent reports from our Director of Finance, Darrell Tuttle, about our casino revenues and sales tax and contingency account and the investment reports and the cannabis tax, which his reports to us, I think, keep us up to date on things we ought to have. And then, of course, he reports to the full legislature as well. And also, we had a number of bond resolutions, and the bond council was there. The bonding for the resolutions will be, those resolutions will be coming to our next meeting. Several $1 million, but we may or may not have to bond for the whole amount, depending on whether some of it can be paid down in cash or otherwise. And Darrell will be explaining all of those next when they come up again. Human Resources told us that there were 784 employees last week at the county level. And we have a lot of year-end resolutions that we went through, and they'll be coming to us, just as they always do at the end of the year. I think other than that, we'll just go ahead with the resolutions unless there are questions I can answer for folks.
I had a quick question. That last thing you said, employees, 784 employees?
That's what Larry Workman told us.
Those are filled positions? Is that what that implied? Not okay.
Employees.
I think so. That's the people who are employed.
Okay, great, thank you.
I mean, they're also, you have, on top of that, you've got election workers and things like that, seasonal.
Okay, you've got a bunch of resolutions. Mike?
Yeah, I think the first one I've got should come to our committee. It was not in Housing and Economic Development Committee because it didn't pass there. So it did pass in Budget, Capital, and Personnel, and that is Resolution E, support the New York State Legislature to modify the Tompkins County Hotel room occupancy tax. That's ID 13597. And this would start the, I'm sorry, was there a second?
Yeah, is there a second? Randy seconds.
This would start the process of trying to get additional state legislation in the next session that would allow us to go to 6%. The discussion has been all along that the extra money would go to the airport. And certainly, if I was here next year, I wouldn't want to see this happening unless it went to the airport. But we've heard, and again, we appreciate the Chamber of Commerce being here tonight and their position on the possible effect it could have on the hotel industry in the county. But it did pass, and I will support it.
Discussion, Shauna.
I think initially, whenever I heard that we were going to bring this forward last year, I was all in favor. And the economy was a little bit different last year than it is this year. Having heard Peggy come to us and give us some of the information about hotel stays, tourism, and how we've seen such a decrease, I do not think I'm ready to support it this year. If we see an increase, then I would be interested in bringing it back at a better time.
Travis.
I heard Peggy's comments about the decrease in the hotel stays, and I don't know if it has as much to do. I don't know if the 1% affects that as much as what's going on in the economy, relationships, people coming here from other countries, and immigration and all of that stuff. We had the whole issue with Airbnbs being eliminated because of the city's new policy. So a lot of places that people could stay they're not staying anymore because they don't exist? I'm not sure. I do have a question. Does voting on this mean that it is going to the airport or that we are going to increase it? Because if it's going just to the airport, I wouldn't support it. And this is why. I think there's an opportunity to support the airport with some of that money, if that's what we decide to do. But as we saw this year, I do see that there's an opportunity to take some of that 1% and support some of our local nonprofits. I don't know where that money is going to keep coming from every year. Everybody we gave money to this year is going to need more money next year. They're going to lose money in grants. They're going to need an increased pool of funding because of what's happening on the federal level. So when we don't have a mechanism to generate more money for that to go out, I know if you talk to Cindy, there's more and more requests coming in from community agencies. So I would support it if we were splitting that in half with the airport and community agencies, but I wouldn't support it just for the airport.
If I could just respond, Travis, I see your point. I think it's going to have to be crafted in the request that Leah Webb and Anna Kellis carry to the legislature as a home rule kind of thing. And I think this group is going to have to make a decision on that and tell them how they want it written.
Got you. Because I heard somebody say earlier that, it's not good to pass legislation without a plan. And so I just want to make sure we have a plan going forward with this.
Greg.
This is our version of Saturday parking, right? Let's throw something at the wall and maybe we'll figure it out later. I absolutely do not support this. There is no plan. There is no clear outline. We have heard the economic condition. We can take that for what it's worth, right? We're in a position to weigh those. I don't always believe that we have to agree with our advisory boards or our advisors. So I'm going to continue in that vein and say that if there were a plan, maybe this would be something to consider. But this is our version of Saturday parking. We have absolutely no plan for this money. Absolutely no plan for this money. Why would we levy a tax with no plan? Right? I want to stress that again. We have no plan for this additional tax that we're levying on our constituents and our visitors. Why would we do this?
Greg, you don't think we have a plan?
I'm quite frankly, I'm shocked that this came out of a committee with, again, no plan. So I would like to refer this, I would like to move that this be tabled and referred back to the Housing and Economic Development Committee to work on a potential plan to be presented through the committee structure if there is a desire to do that. But I think the fact that we are sitting here with no plan, debating a tax, again, with no plan, that we absolutely are derelict in our duty if we vote this forward, again, with no plan.
Okay, so we have a motion to send it back to committee. Is there a second for that? Mike Sigler seconds. Discussion on the proposal on the motion to send back to committee. Deborah.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of sending it back to the committee. I'm not going to vote for it. Regardless of what the reasons are for the decline in our tourism, there's a principle that when you're in a hole, you don't keep digging. And, to make it more expensive to come here when people aren't coming here is the equivalent to me of digging. And to address Travis's concern, I don't think there's anything specific about how we're going to use this, but my understanding is that hotel tax is for heads and beds related things. So I'm not sure that we could actually allocate any of it to Human Services Coalition agencies. In any event, I don't think it needs to go back to committee. I think it needs to be voted down at this time. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to jump into line as long as people are doing their pet peeves. Heads and beds does not exist anywhere in any law. Please stop repeating that. It is not true. It does need to be used for tourism purposes, and that can be interpreted broadly, including economic benefit of the county, I think is some of the phrasing, but heads and beds doesn't exist. Okay, that's my pet peeve. Mike Lane.
Just that if it does go back, I hope that the committee will take a serious look at this, and I hope they do it expeditiously, because we need to get this in line at the state legislature as they're getting ready to start up again in January.
Travis.
I'm having one of those moments. I was going to ask a question. Maybe a senior moment. Yeah, I keep trying to tell you, I'm a little older than I look.
We can come back to you if you want, Travis.
Please do, come back.
No problem. Mike Sigler.
Well, I voted against this in committee because there was no plan.
There you go, Mike. What was it?
No plan.
That's right.
No, I did vote against this committee. Just to touch on something that Travis said, though, I might reconsider this if it was going to the airport. I mean, we understand that the airport has a financial situation. This 1% is about $800,000. There's various things we could do with the airport. We could take over the $11 million debt, which is our debt anyway, and we could pay the service on that with this $800,000. So there is a path forward. And I just want to say about the airport, I've been told by numerous people, the airport is about 20% of the in traffic for tourism, whether it be tourism for Cornell, which isn't really tourism, maybe a business trip, whatever the case may be, but it's about 20%. And that 1% is about 20%. I mean, the airport doesn't really get any of that money now. This 1% could be that 20%. So just putting that out there for later deliberation, but I agree. I voted against it because of what Greg said, do you want me to say it again?
There's no plan.
Veronica.
The no plan thing.
I almost want to vote for passing this resolution purely out of
Spite?
spite for having to listen to the most repetitive speech I've ever heard with others.
Never mind.
But what did I actually want to say?
We can come back to you if you want.
No, I think the question of what we could use this for is really interesting, and maybe it is worth sending it back to committee to talk about that. I guess, Maury, correct me if I'm wrong, but the law that allows us to levy the 5% room tax says that it needs to be used for tourism purposes.
Yeah, let me read you the language from the statute. All revenues resulting from the imposition of the tax under the local laws shall be paid into the Treasury of Tompkins County and shall be credited to and deposited in the general fund, blah, blah, blah. Thereafter to be allocated for tourist and convention development. And then it goes on to say that the county can retain 10%. So, those are, it doesn't really define what those terms mean, but that sort of defines the direction of what the revenue can be used for.
My question.
Excuse me, Maury, that was the state law you were reading?
Yes.
Because there is a local law too that expands the definition a bit. It gives more examples, that's all.
So my question is, if we were going to change the amount from 5 to 6%, that would require a change in the state law, right?
Yes.
And so if we're changing the state law, or if the state is changing their law, then in theory, we could also change what it's allocated for. Like, right? We could do this and also an additional 1% for poetry or whatever.
That would be something we'd need to develop as part of the planning process during the development of the plan for spending the money, but we'd need to look at what the enabling legislation that allows each of these, that allows the state. There's a provision at the very beginning, before each county's occupancy tax law is stated, that may impact generally those types of terms as to what the, in any set of circumstances, what occupancy tax revenues can be used for. So we'd have to look at that. I mean, we can.
Okay. Well, I'd support sending it back to committee to look at that, because I'm interested in exploring, Travis's idea or others. I know at some point I skimmed all the different counties, like enabling, I don't know if it's a clause or a section or whatever in that law, and mostly their occupancy taxes are for tourism, but not exclusively.
Yeah, I think there's a provision at the very beginning, but I may be imagining that. But if it gets sent back to committee, I will plan on researching that issue thoroughly.
Amanda.
You have a plan.
Well, I'm wondering what the plan would be to send it back to committee. I mean, is this something your committee even wants to continue talking about right now?
That would be for the committee to talk about. I can't speak to the committee.
That's the plan.
But the plan is that the committee would talk about it.
Okay.
Randy.
Thanks for considering this. When I proposed this, I had a plan. And the plan was to allocate it towards the airport. And the reason is because whether we fund it out of this pocket or that pocket, we're taking the money out of our regular operating funds to support the airport. Right? So my thought was that would free up funds from our regular funds to support other things like what Travis was speaking about. And so it's my understanding that if we did present this to Anna Kellis, then we could still say we don't want to do it. If they approved it, we would still have to have another vote to say they were actually going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Maury?
Yes. That's right.
So my point was
the state legislature would authorize the adoption.
And then you can work out that process. I agree the language has to be correct. But we have very few opportunities to increase revenues. And I think this is something that would help our regular taxpayers here. So.
Okay, Dan Nolan.
Just to clarify, so this says it is legislation that would allow the county to increase it from 1% to 6%. That doesn't mean we have to. It's just now it's in the state more. This is probably, this is like a ceiling, not a mandate.
Right, that's what I was saying yes to before.
Okay, just fair enough, sorry.
Ann, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, and we don't have to, I'm not going to vote for this anyway, but, and I'm not going to say anything about going back to committee, but I believe we could go up to that. It enables us, so it could be a different amount too. Okay.
Okay, so the motion is to send it back to committee. We're ready to vote on that? All in favor? Please keep your hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I have Mike. Yeah. Yep.
All opposed? The motion passes 9-5. So it's going back to committee.
Okay, well, thanks for that. And as we go ahead, we will make sure all of our resolutions have plans. As Shakespeare said,
first, Mike.
As Shakespeare said, it's the plan's the thing.
Plan. Not my problem. I don't care. I'm not going to be the judge.
All right, let's look at Resolution H, contingent fund appropriation, Finance Department, budget transfer to cover mandate contingent fund deficit. That is ID 13683, and I so move.
Deborah seconds.
Just something we have to do.
Shauna, did I?
No, I have an earache. I can't hear
Okay.
the things we're saying tonight.
Okay.
I did vote for the budget, though, and I understood what I was voting for.
I just want to make sure I didn't miss something. Okay. Does anybody want to speak to this? Ready to vote then? All in favor? Any opposed? That is unanimous.
I is another contingent fund appropriation, Finance Department, community college expenses outside Tompkins County. And these are, I so move.
Is there a second? Randy seconds.
And these are the chargeback expenses that we have for our students that go to other community colleges.
So we don't really have an option, right? Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Okay. Discussion. Ready to vote? All in favor? Any opposed?
And I have Resolution J, elimination of unbudgeted and vacant positions to enhance position control and fiscal stewardship. That's ID 13662, and I so move.
Travis seconds. Discussion. Ready to vote? All in favor? Any opposed? That is unanimous.
So my plan was to end at this point.
Okay.
As long as you have a plan.
Okay, thank you, Mike. We're up to the Community Recovery Fund. Yes.
I did have a note for my fellow legislators. I learned on the recess, one of our number, this was their 40th municipal budget vote.
Wow.
Guess who that is? No.
Mike Lane.
40 budget.
So thank you for making that unanimous, but it goes all the way back to when I was a trustee in the village of Dryden.
As a child of
As a 12-year-old.
I was younger.
Mike, you're in the billions at this point, seriously, right?
Right.
All right. Community Recovery Fund Advisory Committee, no report. Downtown Facilities Special Committee, Randy Brown, Chair.
We have not met since our last meeting, and we'll discuss at our F&I meeting whether we're going to have a meeting in early December then.
Questions or comments for Randy? Okay, thank you. Facilities and Infrastructure Committee, Lee Shurtleff, Chair.
F&I will be meeting Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. And we will be taking up the bond resolutions that Mike referenced under the Budget Committee report.
Questions or comments for Lee? Okay, thank you. Government Operations Committee, Amanda Champion, Chair.
Thank you. My only report is just to let you all know that I have been working with Katrina who's hammering out an onboarding process for the 8 new incoming legislators. And some of us, current legislators, will be meeting with them to talk about a variety of things like decorum and process and that sort of thing. Katrina and Maury have a presentation set up that they're going to go through some more technical things and what committees do and how do you make a resolution and open meetings law, all that kind of stuff. So Katrina has been working hard on this, and I have chatted with Rachel, and she is going to start organizing what many of us did when we first came on, was to meet with department heads and visit offices and get to know the folks all around the county. So it's all very exciting. Sorry I will miss it, but I think you're going to have a fun new legislature. I keep emailing some of you, and I hope you will comply. I would like to put together, since there's going to be so many new people, potentially new chairs of committees. If you are a chair of a committee, if you could just write down a couple of paragraphs. What are there special things that your committee needs to remember? Is there something that the chair does that you're in charge of that nobody else would think about? Are there particular departments that you need to work closely with? That sort of thing. And if there's nothing particular, that's fine too. But like giving us the jail numbers, or checking in with a particular department, that sort of thing.
Or having a plan.
Or having a plan. If you have a plan, please pass that on to me. And then I have a couple of resolutions.
Please.
Okay. Our favorite one, Resolution L, designation of newspaper, ID 13671. And I think there's a plan.
Travis seconds. Who wants to speak to this? Amanda, did you want to say anything before we start?
No, Greg can go.
Greg's in. Yep.
All right. I think we all understand our right to protest, and I think we heard lots of pots and pans and loud voices. I think sometimes as a lower level of government, we need to rise up and use our voice and our platform to encourage the state to move more swiftly. There's been 3, 4, 5 years this has been going, or longer.
Longer.
This has been going on, and our state representatives have done nothing to try to change this. I think we need to take this as an opportunity to vote this resolution down, send a very strong letter to our state representatives and demand action on their part, because it's unacceptable. When you look at, and the only numbers I could find for the Ithaca Journal were from 2017. So when we talk about transparency, they don't really have much. They had at that point 8,809 subscriptions in circulation. If you look at, for example, and I'm not saying this because the editor-in-chief is behind me, but I do feel that it's one of our best and most visited news sources. The Ithaca Voice has 400,000 site visits per month. There were 7,358 daily newsletter subscribers, which is a little less than 1,500 from what the Ithaca Journal had in 2017, and Gannett has reported significant decline in print circulation. So I would assume that there's more daily newsletter subscribers for The Voice than there are Ithaca Journal subscriptions in circulation. The Ithaca Voice has 1.1 million active visitors, and that's from January to September of 2025 alone. If we want to talk about how we get our message and our publications and our notices out to the largest possible audience, this is the way. An antiquated method of print news that doesn't care about our community is not the way to do that. So I would encourage all of you to vote no, to sign on to a letter that I will try to quickly write by the end of the week to accompany this resolution. And I think that we must do better informing our public, and this is just a leftover bureaucratic,
appendix.
Yeah, it's just hanging out there, and it should just be cut off at the root, and we need to think differently how we notify our public, because this is not the way. Here we go.
Wow.
Wow.
I'll take a quick turn. I still subscribe to the Ithaca Journal, at least for another 6 weeks. And once a year they have to publish their statistics, and I cut it out recently. I didn't bring it with me. It's under 2,000 now.
Do they deliver that to your house?
They do. It's through the mail.
Pardon me?
It's through the mail. It arrives in the mail every day.
Oh, okay.
Under 2,000.
Under 2,000, yes.
Wow.
Okay, Mike Lane, then Shauna.
Yeah, and the print subscription, I think, is approaching $1,000 a year.
Holy cow.
What? What?
Dan would say no.
I just got a bill for 6 months, and it's over 400.
$40 a month is what it said online when I just looked, but there may be
Is that online or is that paper?
That's paper. There's a $90-some one for paper and online.
Oh.
Okay. I want to say that, Greg, I fully agree with you, but I think we have to have the paper whether we like it or not for now. And I do remember a couple years ago that Dominic Recchio, when he was our public information director, did a deep dive on this and did a really good memo on it. So I would think that next year, folks, if NISAC's getting into this, that we ought to resurrect that and send it up in support.
Shauna.
Thank you. So whenever I first moved to Ithaca, I actually worked at the Ithaca Journal as well. I sold advertising with Bruce Estes and Gary Stewart.
Wow.
Fun bunch. And what's interesting is whenever we used to go out and sell advertising, we would say that readership, one newspaper, you multiply it by 2.5 because you're going to leave it on a bus and then someone else is going to pick it up and you're going to get 2.5 readers. So I don't know if that's the case for the 2,000 readers now, but I will say that I have people in my district that are senior citizens, and they subscribe to the Ithaca Journal, and they do not go online. And so I still definitely feel a need for print advertising. However, for the hell of it, I'm going to not vote for this. Yeah, see what happens.
Amanda.
Okay, I had a lot of thoughts. First of all, I think that Rich John should go back to newspaper delivery because he's going to be retiring very soon.
Highest and best use.
Yeah. So that was one thing. Secondly, if I wait, did I move it? I can't vote against it.
That's right.
And
You can vote against it, you can't talk against it.
You can't speak.
well, I didn't say anything bad yet. And how does our clerk feel about this?
We need to designate a newspaper by December 31st. And I need to file that with the Secretary of State.
But we got time. Revote.
So if it is voted down,
We can bring it back.
we can bring it back in 2 weeks with a strongly worded letter with no obscenities in it.
With a plan.
Well,
And then with the plan.
You'd have to
And-
send it back through a committee, though.
Oh, no, you don't. You can
Or
just,
else bring it up as a
Motion to
member item.
reconsider.
yeah. Or just put it on as a member filed or
It would be a
whatever.
renew, not a reconsider.
Oh, renew, sorry, thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, let's vote then.
Could we do a roll call?
We sure can.
Oh my gosh.
He looked at me. Ann Corman,
No, please.
Mike Lane,
Reluctant, yes.
Greg Mezzi,
No.
Dan Nolan,
No.
Veronica Pillar,
No.
Lee Shirtliff,
No.
Mike Sigler,
No.
Shauna Black, Travis Brooks,
No.
Randy Brown,
No.
Amanda Champion,
No.
Deborah Dawson,
Nah.
Rich John,
Rich John.
No.
Dan Klein.
Yes.
It's 12 or 2 to 12.
Motion fails, 2 to 12.
Okay. All right, well, look forward to looking at that again in 2 weeks. Okay. All right, my second resolution is Resolution M, authorizing a public hearing on local law number E of 2025, local law adding the position of Chief Equity and Diversity Officer to the Tompkins County Charter, ID 13676.
Travis seconds.
Great, and there's been a lot of talk. We can certainly get into it tonight if we want to, but this is to set a public hearing to do exactly what it says, to add the Chief Equity and Diversity Officer to the charter.
So just to clarify for everybody, including whoever might be listening, this is setting a public hearing for our next meeting. This is not actually changing the charter. Travis.
I would definitely support this. I think it's important to hear from the public. We talk about that all the time, hearing what the public wants, so I will support hearing from the public.
Anybody else? Greg.
Yeah, I would just hope that a public hearing would come with unanimous consent, as much as we talk about how important it is to hear from members of our community. This is not a decision on the topic, but an opportunity for the public to meaningfully engage on this specific issue. So I hope my colleagues will consider that.
Any other discussion? Ready for a vote? All in favor? Any opposed? That is unanimous.
Great, thank you. Government Operations will be meeting for the last time under my chairwomanship on December 4th. Please show up in your best teal blue, and there may be treats.
Thank you. Okay, we are up to the Health and Human Services Committee. Travis Brooks, Chair.
We meet tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Katrina, our color is it pinkish? Is it like a salmon?
It's blue right now. Next year it'll be salmon.
It is blue. So please show up in your best blue. I want to snatch one of Amanda's trophies. And that's all I got.
Any questions or comments for Travis? Okay, thank you. There are no individual member filed resolutions. Can somebody move the minutes of the previous meeting, November 6th, 2025? Ann moves, Deborah seconds. Any discussion? Ready to vote then? All in favor? Any opposed? That is unanimous. Is there any unfinished business? Okay, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.